What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. It has been a very long time since we streamed, and here we are. It's 2025. We've survived till 2025, and now, well, here we are, brewing our very first beer of 2025. And may I be the first to say that I hope that this is one of many for this year, because we have a lot of beers that we have to brew. Um, and there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline for the Speakeasy Brewer, not just stream wise, but business wise. I'm trying to start a brewery, but we'll get to that eventually. Anyways, I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I hope you can. Y'all just holler at me if you can't hear me. Anyways, we are going to be. I didn't plan everything out as well as I thought, but we're going to get things going. We're going to get this gas going so I don't have to sit here and talk your ears off. Yeah, give me 1 second and I'll get this thing rolling. And then we have a lot to cover today because there's a lot of new things, a lot of new topics that I have yet to share with you all. So we're going to get to that here in a moment. Okay. All right, so I got the water going. We'll see how things go from here. Let's see. Have a notification. Okay, yep. All right, so everybody, again, welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. Hopefully you can hear me. See, two people just jumped on, so let me know if you can hear me. Today is a big day. My first beer in, I think it was 97 days is what Twitch told me, so that's a long freaking time. Anyways, so yeah, we're going to be brewing our pumpkin oatmeal stout. And yes, I know, before we go any further, I know it's kind of out of season, but you know what? Pumpkin's always in season. And if you disagree, well, agree to disagree. But I had a sugar pie pumpkin that needed to be used, and yeah, so this is what we're doing. I was trying to get one done in October and November, and then December, and that never happened. So here I am doing it now, and it's gonna work out. Okay? Yeah, cool. Anyways, welcome to all y'all. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Speakeasy Brewer. I haven't streamed in 3 months, but we brew beer here. I teach you how to brew beer at home, and we also do beer reviews, beer tastings, that kind of thing. So everything that is beer, you're in the right place if you're interested. Otherwise, yeah, that's what we do. So this year, I have like 30 beers I want to brew. So it's a lot of brewing that we have to do. But will we get them all done? I'm not quite sure. It just kind of depends. There's a handful of things coming down the pipeline that I really want to put some energy towards, and I'll share that with you today. But let me get you started with kind of what we're looking at in terms of the recipe today. And yes, I know I got like the Russian comrade hat, but it's freaking cold right now, so that's what's going on. If you are watching or lurking, can you please let me know in the comments? Just send me a message saying you can hear me okay or not, because I really don't know. I did a test run and I thought I could hear myself, and it sounded good. That'd be great because I don't want to talk forever and not say anything. Let me just do this. Maybe you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, sweet. All right, thanks, man. Dr. Hoppenstein, I'm representing today because, yeah, I'm wearing the merch, dude. I love this shirt. It's been going with me everywhere. So I'm wearing the shirt, and I was gonna try a beer today, one of your beers on stream, but I'm coming down with a cold, so I'm not gonna drink any beer today, unfortunately. But I do have your wheat wine and your Merkel's barrel-aged stout, imperial stout. So I've got those two that I want to drink, and we're gonna review it live on stream. But today, I just can't. I just gotta be well. But anyways, happy New Year to you, and cheers, dude. This is coffee, not beer. Anyways, So let me show you what we're working on today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and insight on this. But let's go here. I'm gonna go to camera 2. All right, can you still hear me on camera 2? I'll come back and check. I think you probably can because I've got it set up for that. But anyways, I've got all my stuff over here, and I'm having it at an angle mostly because I don't want the glare of the light. But let's go over a little bit of what we've got going today. So here's our grain bill for our pumpkin oatmeal stout. We're going to be using 8 pounds of US 2-row pale malt, 2 pounds of flaked oats, 0.5 pounds of pale chocolate, 0.5 pounds of white wheat malt, 0.25 of Carafa 3, and 0.25 pounds of black malt. And yes, we are making a stout. 2 ounces of Cascade hops whole cone. Those are for my parents. And then we're using Darkness A10 from Imperial Yeast. Makes amazing stout. It's so good. And then we've got sugar pie pumpkin that I processed. So I roasted it and then skinned it and then mashed it. So we've got 4 pounds of sugar pie pumpkin ready to go. And we'll put that in at 15 minutes near the end of the boil. And then we got a 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon that's ground cinnamon, I should say, half teaspoon of nutmeg, half teaspoon of clove, half teaspoon of allspice, all of which are ground. And we're going to be putting that in at about 5 minutes to the end. So cool, a couple things, and I'll underline these with the flaked oats and wheat. Actually, I might go down that list here in a moment. So yeah, so let's talk about the recipe real fast. And actually, I'm going to look back and make sure you guys can hear me. Cool. Okay, you guys can hear me. All right, so looking at the grain bill, this is what's the main part of the recipe for our beer, okay? Now, it depends on the style of beer, but we have several types of grains that we use. We have base malts. I shouldn't say grains, sorry, base malts. There's several types of malts that we use. We use a lot of grain: wheat, rye, barley, I guess rice, quinoa. We can do all that other stuff. I said oats already. Anyways, you can even put corn in beer, all that crazy stuff. It gets wild. It gets bananas. It's so good. But anyways, when it comes to a recipe, we're talking about like a balance of malts to get the proper recipe. You've got your base malts, which is going to be where you get most of your alcohol from, your sugars from, a lot of the color and a lot of the flavor. And it's just think of it as the base. So like, for example, our base malt is 8 pounds of US 2-row. So that's going to give us a bright golden color, biscuity flavor, and just kind of a nice balanced breadiness, which is great. Just what you expect with beer. And then we have specialty malts. And the specialty malts are any malt that's going to be adding more complexity, color, flavor to the beer, or certain characteristics that we want, like whether it's like a smooth creaminess, or if it's head retention, or that kind of thing. So, for example, with an oatmeal stout, according to the Beer Judge Certification Manual, you want to have at least 20%, up to 20% of your recipe being flaked oats, or oats in general. Doesn't have to be malted, but any form of oat has to be at least 20%-ish, up to 20%. So we have about 20% of our oatmeal stout being flaked oats. This is going to add kind of like a creaminess, a smoothness, and it's quite nice. So when you think of an oatmeal stout, you think of it being sweet and creamy. So that's where you're going to get that. You can also get sweet creaminess from corn or lactose sugar as well. And lactose sugar will amp up the sweetness more than just the smoothness or creaminess of the mouthfeel. You can get more of that from corn and flaked oats. So there's that. Okay, so that's our flaked oats. This is the most important. If I just had these two, that would be an oatmeal ale, not a stout. But what makes it a stout is the color and the other flavors that we get in a stout. So when you think of a stout, you're thinking of, there's some sweetness, there's some robustness, some roastiness, maybe some chocolate, like bittersweet chocolate, or even some coffee. Okay, so those are going to come from our other specialty malts, which are our pale chocolate, our Carafa 3, and our black malt. Those are very, very dark grains, and because they're so dark, sometimes when they go through the kilning process, they can get what we call tannins, something that's like an unpleasant flavor. It could be really bitter, it could be really astringent, but we don't want that in our beer, or too much of that in our beer. A little bit is okay. So that's why I have half a pound of chocolate malt, 0.25 pounds of Carafa 3, and 0.25 pounds of black malt, because they are darker grains, and they will provide a huge amount of tannin if I put too much in. It's going to be not pleasant on the mouth. And last but not least, we got a little bit of wheat in here. I did half a pound of wheat, and that's more for head retention. With this stout, what we should be looking at in terms of the head, it's going to be like kind of like a tan head, and the wheat will also help it to sustain, a sustaining head. And Carafa, I think, also helps with a little bit of the keeping a residual head on top of the beer. So that's what we're looking at the grain bill, okay, for this particular beer. If you have any more questions about grain bill, holler at me and I'll let you know. I see there's some things. Rob with 2 Bs. What's up, brother? It's good to see you. Happy New Year. And I think I haven't said this yet to you, Dr. Opstein, but Happy New Year. Is there anybody else? Did I miss anybody else? No, I did not. But you guys are awesome. Welcome to 2025. It's a beautiful 2025 so far because we got our very first beer coming, and it's going to be sweet. Okay. Also, in terms of the recipe, we're looking at hops. Okay. What are hops good for? Okay. When you drink a beer, you're like, I could taste the hops. It's kind of bitter. Okay. That's the very first reason why we have hops in a beer, is to add bitterness. Okay. And we also have hops that add flavor and aroma. Think of a dry hopped IPA or super hoppy IPA. In general, those you can smell certain flavors, you can taste certain flavors, and yet it's still bitter, right? Because hops are always going to add some level of bitterness. But we have 3 times that we'll add hops, or 3 reasons for hops. Okay, the very first one is bitterness. You can't have beer without bitterness from hop. Okay, and we always put that in at the very beginning of the boil. That's where that's for bittering only. Okay, you'll get a little bit of flavor, but it's not going to be like a overwhelming flavor. Maybe a little bit of skunkiness with the bitterness, but other than that, you're just gonna, yeah, there's hops in here. Cool, it's a beer, sweet. But then you have aromatic and flavoring hops, and that's where you're gonna get the smells and the tastes and everything like that. And you're gonna be adding those hops in at different times in the boil. So for aromatic hops, well, I'll do flavoring hops. For flavoring hops, you're gonna be putting them in between I guess between 5 and 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes to the end of the boil. And that's going to be putting all that flavor. So you're going to be putting the hops that have the flavor that you want in the beer, maybe citrusy or floral, grapefruit, stone fruit, that kind of thing. You're going to be putting those hops in at that time. And then the aromatics go in between 5 and knockout or flame out. Okay, 5 minutes to the end of the boil or flame out. And then we also can add hops by dry hopping, by sticking them in the fermenter, and that's after the fermentation is done. You throw some hops in, you let it sit for a few days, and then let it fall out. Out comes the beer, and you got a hoppy beer. So that's what you're getting with hops, okay? Yeast, you can't have beer without yeast. If you don't have yeast, you don't have beer. Simple as that, okay? I won't go into too much, well, I won't go into too much of that. I could come back to this. Just remind me. We'll talk a little bit more about yeast in a little bit. Mostly because I want to make sure we're getting to our temperature. And then the last but not least, and then we're going to go back to the other camera because I need to make sure. We've got some notes for our beer today. Did I write any of this down? I didn't write any of this down. What a ding dong. Okay, well, I'll check my Beersmith. It should be on there. But today, our ABV, our estimated ABV, it's kind of surprising for a stout, but 5.9%. Our bitterness units, 35.3. Might be a little less than that because these hops are a little bit older. And then SRM is 29.7. SRM is color. Okay, so the higher the number, the darker it is. The lower the number, the lighter it is. So an SRM of like 3, 4, or 5 is going to be super light. That's your Kolsch, Pilsner, maybe even getting into your IPAs. And then you get into like the 10, 15 range, and you're getting into your ambers, and you get into the 18 plus range, and you're getting into your browns and stouts, porters, etc. Okay. Um, our oh yes, okay. Our target OG, I'll come back to this. 1.06. That's our gravity reading for our beer. This is going to tell us how much sugar and potential alcohol we have. And then our target finishing gravity is 1.015. This one is probably the most important. This is also important. I'm putting boxes because that means I can come back and check on them. And then mash. Heavens to Betsy. Why didn't I write this? Let me go see if it's on my beersmith. Stand by. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I'm trying really hard to you know, we talked about this in person. I'm trying really hard to, work on the teaching. And I got those books, by the way, that you recommended to me. Let's see. Where is my beer thing? Here we go. We start tonight. Okay. Please, Austin. Past Austin. You're an idiot. Okay. I did not do it. Let me see what the temp's at. We still have time. Okay. Give me a second. Here, just so you can see my lovely face while I'm doing this, and you're like, why aren't you in the screen? It's because I'm right here. And actually, I'm going to bring this down so you can really get my face. And you can see the comrade hat. It's even better. And can you tell it's freaking cold because of the steam coming out of my mouth? It's freaking cold, guys. For me, I'm a CC. It's probably not as cold as where you're at, doctor. Okay. Here, I'll show you what I'm looking at. How about that? Let me share my screen with you. Screen capture. Okay. So our batch size 11.5. Oh, sorry, 11.5 pounds. Our batch size is 5. Original gravity is 1.06. I'm just doing this really fast because this is going to help me. Grain temperature, I said it was 69. And then I'm going to do a medium body, and I'll explain all this. So 152 is our target mash temperature. Importante. 152. And our strike temp, I believe, if I'm correct, needs to be 165. Now, let's see, 165. Yep, I'm right. Okay, I'm just going to keep this up. 165 is what I need it to be. All right, cool. Cool. Okay, let's go back. Sorry, I'm just going to flip things around on y'all. Okay, so 165. Now that we're back at winter, being in a garage, a non-climate controlled area, getting these temperatures accurate is challenging AF. Okay. First of all, let's talk about this real quick. Our strike temperature. So the water that I'm heating up right now is our strike water. Okay. That water is going to go into our mash tun, and we're going to put our grains in there, and we're going to let them steep for about 60 minutes. Okay. So that's what we're doing. That's what the strike temperature is. It's freaking cold out right now. So we're going to have some temperature loss in the transfer between the boil pot and the cooler. So one thing that I do is I'll take a little bit of the hot water before it's too hot or too temperature. I'm going to stick it in the cooler and just kind of let it preheat the cooler, the Home Depot cooler. That way it's all kind of preheated. So I have less temperature shift. But then I need to move the water really fast if it's cold, because it loses water or heat really fast when it's freaking cold. Today is freaking cold. And then we have a loss of heat from the grain. So I'm guesstimating that's about 69 degrees. It could be a little bit less. So I am going to risk it for the biscuit, and we're going to go for I think I might go 170. And that's for me to have a potential of 5 degrees loss of temperature between the transfer. If I'm correct on that, then we should get about 152, no problem. Could be a little bit lower, which is fine. It'll just be a little bit different beer. But this is important, okay? And we'll talk about this during the mash process. But that's important if we could get that, okay? So I'm kind of having my own personal target of 170 degrees Fahrenheit just to account for potential temperature loss between the boil pot and the mash tun, and also adding the grains, okay? So those are some things to consider. That's why the strike temperature is higher than the mash temperature, because it is considering that. The program that I've used and that I showed you, it does take into consideration the loss of temperature from the grain. So the closer you could get with your grain temperature, the better, okay? So that's our mash temperature. Yeah, I think that's all I needed to say about that. That's all I need to say about that. Okay. Let me see what the temperature is, and then I'll come back and explain some more stuff. 120. All right. Real fast, Dr. Hop. I um, bought those books, hops, yeast, malt, water books. I found them at my local brew store, and I've been wanting to get them for a while. And then you're like, you have to get these, or these are good books to go for. So I bought them, and so that's my homework. At least until I figure out what I'm doing, because I think right now where we're at, we're gonna move at some point in time. And so that's going to determine where I put my said brewery. Because if we move to Colorado, different rules than Utah. Surprise, surprise. So it's all about location, right? So, but if we stay in Utah, I know the rules here, so that helps. But it also depends on if I move further south, further north, because it's all about location. I don't want to drive way too far. So, yeah. So, anyways, that I'm excited. I'm excited. So until we figure that out, I'm gonna learn and keep practicing my craft. And I'm probably gonna be picking your brain some more because your brain is a gold mine, my friends, and I appreciate your help. All right, we got a little bit of time still. The mash tun, I'll show you that here in a second. Okay, real quick. Again, this will be during the mash. I'll talk about that. So we're talking about our OG or original gravity and FG or finishing gravity or final gravity, however you want to say it. So basically what we're doing during the mashing process is we're converting starches into sugars. Those starches or those sugars are food for yeast, and that the amount of sugars that are available is increases the gravity. Okay, so the more sugars, the more gravity you have. The less sugars, the less gravity you have, which also means the less alcohol you have. The higher the gravity, the more alcohol you have, potentially, right? Because again, we're going to come back to that here when we talk about mash temping or mash. Okay, but for us, this number, the 1.06, sometimes they'll just say 60. It's hard for me to explain that number to you other than like this is just telling me my goal and target for what I want my efficiency, my mash efficiency to be at. And this is more important for like after the boil. Once we've boiled everything up and got it all ready to go and we're about to stick it in the fermenter, we'll take a quick reading and we want it to be pretty close to that, plus or minus a couple, give or take. If I'm like way off, like it's 1.050, my mash messed up. My mash efficiency sucks. And that could come from all sorts of things, like I didn't mix it well enough, I didn't let it sit long enough, the temperature probably wasn't right, the crush from the grain mill probably wasn't right. There's all sorts of things that can be a problem with that. The more grain I have, the more that number will go up, especially when you get your base malt. Okay, remember the base malt that I talked about? When you have your base malt, that's where most of your alcohol is going to come from anyways. You can always add alcohol by adding sugar, honey, maple syrup, dry malt extract, liquid malt extract, or regular sugar. Those are all things that you can add to your beer without adding, I guess, too much flavor. Honey might add some flavor. Without adding too much flavor, it's going to amp it up. So I guess the rule of thumb is for every pound of like, I think, I'll say it for dry malt extract. I don't know the exact number for liquid malt or honey or whatever, but I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb across the board. But for every pound of sugar you add, it's a percentage of alcohol. So if we added a pound of dry malt extract, sugar, whatever, it would go up to 6.9%. Okay. But if I were to increase this to 9 pounds, then that would put us at like 6.5, maybe, or maybe even 6.9. I don't know. We'll see. I could play around with the numbers and let y'all know. Okay, so this is what we're shooting for. That's going to help us to kind of get a really good idea of what our potential alcohol is going to be, and the efficiency of our mash and brew day. And then our finishing gravity is probably one of the most important ones, because this is going to tell you whether your beer is done fermenting or not, okay? If your beer is not done fermenting, guess what? You have bombs. And you don't want to be near those because they're glass shards. I don't know if I showed you guys on, it was one of my last streams. I think it was the Black Widow stream. So if you didn't see that, go watch it on YouTube. The Speakeasy Brewer. It's the same thing as on Twitch. But anyways, I had 2 beers when I was trying to kill that Black Widow, which I named my stout after. I moved my kegerator and I also turned it off, and it was 95 degrees out that day. My garage was like 105. So it got really freaking hot, and I have my saisons, the Burning Sock saisons, and it's a delicious beer except for the fact that it's really sweet and I messed up on the carbonation. So it was already pretty overcarbonated, and then it got hot, and all that pressure just was too much, and I moved the kegerator, and one of them fell or something like that, and it freaking exploded, and it shot glass into beer cans. And so there was not just that bottle that shattered, there was another bottle that got hit by glass and shattered, and then there was all these cans of beer that had been punctured by glass, and they were all empty, and beer was everywhere. The glass also went through the kegerator walls and everything. It was insane. There's still glass in there. So that's what you're dealing with, and you do not want to have that going into your eye, your face, your body, because, well, it's a bomb. It could severely injure you. I'm sure it could kill you if you hit it right, but just be careful. So that's important. Hold on, let me check our temperature. We're getting kind of close. Okay, super close. I really hope we have enough gas for today. I think we do, but we'll see. But finishing gravity. So when your beer goes into fermentation, remember it starts at 1.060. That's all based on the amount of sugar available in your beer. So during fermentation, our little yeast boys are in there munching on the sugar, pooping out CO2 and alcohol. Good stuff. Anyways, when they're done, before we bottle it, if you can't get it, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to bottle it, you want this number, it better be plus or minus like 1 or 2. If it's any more than that, you better let it sit for a little bit, because otherwise you're going to have bomb. Okay, so that's why it's so important to have this number. And so you're going to take a testing of it before you bottle it, and then boopity boppity, if it's in this range, plus or minus 1 or 2 maybe, then you got good beer that could go in a bottle, carbonate it up, drink it in a week. Okay, now we're done with these things. All right, we're getting close to our water temperature. Whew, it's freaking cold. It's so cold that my coffee is already lukewarm. Which, by the way, check this out. This is my Christmas gift. Best dad ever. I know. Basically, every dad is the best dad ever, because dads are badass. Moms are also badass. Tion, if you're on, moms are still badass. Basically, any parent's badass, because the stuff you have to go through to raise a kid is badass. Okay. All right, I'm coming back to the other camera. Camera. Funny, Dr. Happenstein, I'm glad that you're on. I knew as soon as I said, oh, we're going to meet at 9:30, I was like, who the hell's going to be awake at 9:30 in the morning other than parents? So I'm glad you're on, and then I'm not alone. Rob was on for a little bit, so that's good. Yeah, we went to bed at like 9. No, I went to bed at 10:30 last night. So we watched the ball drop at 9. We're like, yeah, Happy New Year. And then I had to take the neighbor's dog out for a walk, because the neighbor was out for work. And then I came back and went to bed. Also, I'm fighting a cold, so I need that rest, you know. So anyways, we're getting close to our temperature. I am going to move a little bit of Zavata. Okie dokie. Just because, preheat it, because everything's freaking cold. And I left my garage door open today because last time I see all the steam. This is how I get my heat loss. You got to be fast, faster than lightning. But I left my garage door open this time because last time it was this cold and I brewed, I think it was March. Anyways, I was brewing my beer, and uh, it got so hot and humid in here that it was dripping off of the ceiling. It was like raining in my garage. And then I opened the garage door and it turned into a cloud immediately. It was bizarre. So I'm not doing that today. And plus, if I have the garage door closed, I also have to open all the windows, so it doesn't really keep things cold anyway, or hot. It's just gonna tough it out. Okay, we're about 160. So I'm gonna go get the grain in a minute. I don't want it to come out here and get too cold. So, but I'll show you guys the grain real fast. So I'll bring it out. And the biggest thing is make sure to mix it. And I'll explain all of that here in a little bit. But you got to mix it. You got to get all the dough clumps out, and all of it needs to be touching that water because we're making some beer. We're making some tea. Really, is what we're doing. So, yes, yes. Okay. We're just waiting for that whole thing. Got my big old spoon. My spoon is too big. Okay, for those of you who were alive when the internet was starting to like take off, you'll know, I hope that you'll know that video, about that video, what I just said. It was a great video. It was so stupid. And it was the first video that I watched. It was like 30 minutes long online. And at the end, it was so stupid. At the end, it said, "Ha, we stole 30 minutes of your life so you could watch this stupid video." And I was like, damn, they got me. Okay, I need, what was it, 4 gallons? Let's find out. 4 gallons of strike water. Ish. Okay. Okay. That's 170. Okay. Close. I really hope we have enough. I will have enough gas today. Next time I need more gas. Okay, everybody, which is just Dr. Hop. You know this already, but when you're dealing with hot items, it can be quite dangerous. So I always recommend that you use your bare hands. I'm working on my dad jokes, okay? I think it's freaking funny. I don't even care what anybody else says. That's also just one of the speakeasy brewer things that I do, you know? There's, okay. I also recommend that you brew with friends because you're dealing with heavy objects. Okay. Okay, so there's that. We'll put the pot back on. I'm gonna go get the grain. I'll be right back. Actually, before I get the grain, I figure I should set this up so y'all can watch what happens, because this is important. Importante. Honestly, I don't even know if you'll be able to see because it's freaking cold. Anyways, I'll be right back. All right, here's our grain, 11.5 pounds of grain. We're gonna dump it in this bad boy, and I also need a thermometer. Because, well, do I really need to explain it? We all know why. 43? I don't believe it. Yes, it says it's okay. It's not as cold as I thought it was. I'm just a sissy. Okay, I have my spoon. Okay, we're gonna put the grain in. The camera 2. Can you see? Yes, you can. All right, here we go. I'm going to do this fast because, again, heat loss is an enemy of beer brewing. So we're going to dump this in. Okay. And we're going to get everything down there. Mix it all up like a stew. Get all the way down at the bottom. Make sure there's no clumps of dough, because guess what? When you have a clump of dough, that dough ain't touching water. Ain't touching shite. So, all right, here we go. I have to say, when I brewed with Dr. Hoppenstein, it was way more fun. Oh no, my thermometer. I gotta get a good reading at least. No. Okay, that's too much time. All right. Well, it was a little low. I could have gone to like 180, honestly, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so we got, I think the highest I saw was like 140, what was it, 146 or something like that. I mean, it's close, but it's not really close enough. I mean, it's whatever. So now, let me use this opportunity to explain what's actually happening. So let me roll this around so I'm not making y'all hurl. And then let me resituate this. I'll give you a good view again later. Once we get rolling, camera two, look into the camera. Okay, so we talked about mash temperature. Okay, so when you're talking about mash temperature, what you're trying to do with getting it as close as possible with your mash. Ugh, that's not the right way. Okay, so when you're creating beer, part of the beer profile and characteristic comes from the body of the beer. Okay, we have light, we've got medium, and we've got full. Okay, so a light body, you can guess, would be like a Kolsch, a Pilsner, maybe a blonde, those kinds of beers. Okay, really light beers. Basically any lager. That's what you're looking for. Is a light body beer. You know, it's dry, it's crisp, it's clean, it's not very sweet. Maybe a little bit of sweetness, but that'll come from the grain, and I'll explain why there's a little bit of sweetness there. Medium body is going to be still clean, still a little dry, a little crisp, but a little sweet. You know, it's going to be a little bit more complex. And then a full body, which is normally what you would get for a stout, would be between medium and full, is just very sweet, kind of chewy, and it's not necessarily chewy like you would drink orange juice and chew on the pulp. Not that kind of chewy. It's just like thick. Um, but it's thick, it's sweet, it's very full in the mouth. That's kind of what you're looking at. So those are the three body profiles for beers that you're shooting for. Okay, now all of these body profiles come from our mash temperature. Okay, so, and I'll explain why, which I need to set a timer. Ha, good memory, Austin. Future Austin will be proud of you. Okay, oops. There we go. All right. Okay. So, like I said, mash temperature determines whether it's going to be light, medium, or full body beer. Why, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, so during the fermentation or the mash process, basically what we're doing two things. One, we're steeping the grains and basically creating a tea, which we're going to call wort, and it's spelled W-O-R-T, not wort, but it's pronounced wort. Anyways, so that's what we're doing. And in this process of mashing, we're converting starches into sugars. Now there's two types of sugars that you get from the mash, okay? You have complex sugars and you have simple sugars. And basically, if I can draw this out, it's not a really good, here, let's do this. Let me clear the whiteboard. Okay. We're gonna just draw a quick picture. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this very well, but we're going to call that a starch chain, okay? Long starch chain that gets broken up during the mashing process by two types of enzymes. You have alpha amylase and beta amylase. Now, it's been a while since I actually talked about this, so hopefully I don't mix it up. But beta amylase is more present in Dr. Hoppenstein, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, because it's been a while since I talked about this. Beta amylase is more active in cooler temperatures of mash, and alpha amylase is more prevalent with warmer temperatures. Okay, so the lower the temperature, the more beta amylase we have, and the beta amylase will go through and it'll munch on these large starch chains and will create simple sugars. Okay, and those simple sugars are the sugars that yeast can eat, whereas an alpha amylase, they're more pronounced or more prevalent during warmer temperatures in mash, and they create complex sugar chains. So that's where you're going to get the sugar chains or the sugars that are not going to be eaten by the yeast, therefore more sweet, right? So even if it's hot or cold, you're still going to have some level of beta and alpha amylase in there at the same time. So you're always going to have some level of simple sugars that the yeast is going to eat, and you're going to have some level of complex sugars that the yeast can't eat. But for the most part, the colder the temperature, the more beta amylase is available, which means more simple sugars, which means the yeast is going to eat those sugars up, which means less sweetness, less body, therefore a light body. So a lager, light body beer, Pilsner, whatever, all lagers, you're going to be shooting for a colder temperature, okay? And then if you want something like a full body beer, like a stout, like a peanut butter milkshake stout, you're going to want to have a warmer temperature, just because you want that sweetness. You want that fullness of that. And then with a medium body, you're going for a medium temperature, which at this point I think is too low. Again, freaking winter and non-climate controlled things, because the other problem is summer. When you brew all winter and you're learning and you get used to that temperature loss, and then you're brewing on your first day that's 80 degrees and that temperature loss never happens, all of a sudden you get too hot in the mash tun and then your beer is messed up. So anyways, temperature control is by far probably one of the most important things. So right now you can see our actual temperature is about 146. That's the highest. It's about 4, 5, 6 degrees colder. It's probably going to be more of the light to medium. We still should have enough body to meet our goal with our pumpkin oatmeal stout, but it might be a little bit cleaner and drier. It'll work out. It's not going to be bad. It's going to be beer that we will drink, and it's going to be delicious, I hope. Anyways, so that's our mash temperature, mash science. I hope that helps. But yeah, let me just double check this. Let's go back to the drawing board. We'll test it. Okay, so actually, let me go to screen capture. We're going to go to this page right here. So I said medium body. Let's do light body. Okay, so light body goes down to lower temperature, and full body goes higher. So yeah, okay, so I was right. Okay, cool. So anyways, there you go. So that is mash science, beer science in a nutshell for what's happening. So we're going to end up having a light body stout, which it'll be a light body stout. It'll be different, but it's still gonna taste like pumpkin. We're gonna have the pumpkin spices in there as well. So one thing I learned this from Dr. Hop is when you're using ground powder or like ground cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, clove, that kind of thing, um, they're hydrophobic, which means that they'll just sit on top of the water and not get wet. So what you do is you get a little bit of the wort once it's in the boiling process. You take some of that and you stick it in a little container and get dextrins. Oh, sweet, awesome. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Some more stuff that I got to learn. Dextrins. That's a type of sugar, right? I think it is. Um, complex sugar, I bet, because it's like dextrose. Anyways, so what you want to do is you take a little bit of wort and you put it in a container, which in our case, we have a container. I mixed all the spices together. Let me show you what I've got. But here we are. I'll show you. It smells like pumpkin pie. It smells like pumpkin pie. So here's my cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and clove, and I mixed it all together with a little whisk, and then I have it in this little container, which is what I'm going to fill up with beer or wort. Sorry, wort. Use the proper phraseology, and then we're gonna mix it and just let it kind of hydrate a little bit before we throw it in the beer. And then we're using powder because the powder it gives more surface area, so it covers more surface area, puts more flavor in. Last time I did this for my Arrakis ale, it turned out amazing. So I think it's going to work out well. Um, so yeah, you could also use like cinnamon sticks. You can use like cardamom seeds, any like spices. You can use the full form of it, like vanilla or whatever. You could just stick it in the fermenter during fermentation. But you want to sanitize it or let it sit in some form of alcohol, vodka, bourbon, whiskey, whatever, just to kind of clean it before you put it in the fermenter. But you could let it sit in the fermenter and it'll put that flavor in as well. So just a heads up there. Hello. Good. How are you? That's good so far. It's been 47 minutes, and Dr. Hop's on. Rob jumped on for a little bit, so yeah, we're just hanging. How are you? Okay, sweet. We're put yeah, we're putting our Christmas stuff away. Sad. Yeah, Dr. Hoppenstein is, and there's one other person, but I imagine that other person is either lurking or they're new or whatever. But anyways, if you're new, welcome to Speakeasy Brewer. How bad of me to not say welcome. Um, Yeah. So we're just mashing right now. Talked about a little bit about the science, a little bit of mash. Yep. What'd you say? A little bit of coffee, which my coffee's cold now. It didn't take very long. Ouch. I messed up on the coffee this morning, so it's kind of bad. Oh, it's Rob.
Coffee is sensitive. It's
Mm.
a sensitive topic. Anyway, I put old coffee in the new coffee bag because I took it out of our espresso machine. So I wanted to put the decaf coffee in the espresso machine. So I just put the regular beans back in the bag, but they were like a month old or more.
No wonder.
So that's why it was bad. It's not your fault.
It's her fault.
It's not your fault. It's my fault.
Oh, hey Rob, how's it going?
Hi, Rob.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yep. We'll bring little man out here when he wakes up from his nappy poo.
He's so cute.
He's so big now.
So big.
Yeah,
Rob, you probably had a nice, delicious holiday.
yeah, I'm always jealous with your stuff that you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made so much stuff, Rob. It was like, what was it? The 12 days of delicious Christmas or something like that. Like I jumped on every once in a while and was like, what?
That's a good idea.
I know. He made a gingerbread house too. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do that next year.
I know. You inspired me. I was this close to doing a gingerbread house. Yeah, he did.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure you made the gingerbread.
Harder.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
Hold.
Yeah. Anyways, it was impressive.
Did Rob see your new cup?
Yes. I showed it off. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay. Yeah. It's chilly out. Anyways, Um, dude, that was cool, and the final photos were amazing. I was so impressed, so impressed. So well done there. Yeah, I really want to. I was like, I think I could do that. I should watch one of Rob's videos, and thanks also by the mug. Um, yeah, I should watch your video and make my own gingerbread and gingerbread cookies, and then make my house. Anyways, at some point in time would be sweet. Anyways, okay, so what are we doing on time? We're 48 minutes. Oh, I know what we're supposed to be doing. Gosh, see, even after 3 months, I'm still like lost. Okay, I need to be heating up my sparge water. I'll have to say, when I was brewing with the doctor, it was a lot easier with pumps. So when I upgrade to pumps, that's going to be a happy day for me, because man, pumps are nice. Anyways, I gotta get this started back up. So funny. I was sitting there going like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. I can't quite remember what it is because it's been so freaking long since I've done any of this. Get this cruising and warming up. Yeah, so I'm warming this up right now. This is going to be our sparge water, which is basically going to rinse off all of our grain and flavor and sugar. And it's basically going to shower our grain with goodness. And we're going to move all that sugar and flavor and color right into the boil pot. We're going to boil it and add our hops, and then we're done. And since I'm getting an early start, hopefully I'll be done by like 1:30. Because yeah, I might, even though I feel like poop, I'm gonna try and get a hike in if I can. So, anyways, what else? What else? I don't know. What'd you all do for New Year's? That's my. Uh, oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't even see this, Rob. Yes, I will do it next year, 100%. Um, because it'd be so much fun. It'd be like Gingercraft. It's like Minecraft, but with gingerbread. Um, the kids would love that. The kids would love that for sure. Um, yeah, but the problem with me and cookies, I'll just be transparent here, is they oftentimes never become cookies because they don't survive the dough phase very often. So, but if I can make it into a cookie, then yeah, I'll totally do it. But yeah, what'd you guys do for New Year's? Rob, I know you streamed, and uh, was gonna try and jump on, and then I had some weird thing happen, so I had to take care of that. Life is full of weird things, isn't it? It never ceases to amaze me. I guess the bigger question is, did you all stay up till midnight? Because I definitely did not. I ended up waking up at midnight when all of our neighborhood was shooting off fireworks, which was a freaking crap ton of fireworks, and it lasted like 30 minutes. It was awesome. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Normally, so I'm a night owl, but the kid definitely makes me, you know, tired in the evening. But I'm glad you did that. That's good. Yeah, it's fun to watch their excitement going into the new year. It's so much fun. Our neighbors, they had kids and they wanted to stay up till midnight. And yeah, I mean, I stay up till midnight pretty much every night at work. Um, so I guess when I can get a chance to sleep, I take advantage of that. Nice. Well done. Well, I celebrated your midnight, Rob. Um, watched the ball drop, which was very underwhelming this year. So what we did was we watched the London ball drop, which they don't have a ball drop, but it was a countdown at the Eye of London, and they had the best fireworks show I've ever seen in my entire life, even though it was on video. And we watched that, and we're like, next year we're skipping the ball drop because it kind of sucks. It's not that exciting. And we're going to go straight over to London, and we're going to watch their thing because that's way more fun. Because, man, I've never seen a fireworks show like that in my entire life. And I was like, what the heck are we doing over here? Shoot. So that was awesome. Yeah, that's good. Y'all, well done. You stayed up to midnight. I did not. I gave in early this year. But yeah, my last trip was kind of long. So that was weird. My burner was a little awry. How's your dog doing, Rob? I know your pup's getting old. I think you said something that your pup had some medical issues or something, but yeah, that's a bummer. I'm sorry. Or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else because I know another person that's got things going on with their puppy, and that's never easy. So, it's windy. Okay. I was like, what's going on? It's not. I've still got tons of gas. I've got enough for today. That's sad. It's always sad to watch your pups get old, isn't it? And it's like they're young and spry and happy and willing to do anything and everything, and then they get old and can't do all those things. It's just sad. I think about that with my pup. Like right now, he hurt his claw. I took him out on a hike, and he like broke his claw, and so it's got like this big crack in it where you can see the flesh and blood and stuff. It's super sad. And so he was limping around for a while, and so we had to give him some painkillers and some like chill out pills, and we just kept him chilled out in the house for a few days, and now he's not limping anymore, but we're still trying to be careful on it because I like taking him on hikes and letting him run around and have fun, but he can't do it because every time he does it when he's injured like this, it just re-injures it. It takes forever. So we're taking it easy for now. Okay, so while we're waiting, we've got 41 minutes. Yeah, I guess I will share my little. Let's see. Yeah, I know it's sad, isn't it? So sad. I just realized. Um, let's see. I think. Let's see. I think we're live right now on YouTube. I can't quite tell. Let's see if it pops up on my. I realized. Oh yeah, here we go. I just want to make sure that I'm saying hi to people. Okay, nobody's on here. That's fine. Okay, we got a friend that just showed up. Our little Ewok, little man, Theodore, the brew baby. Say hi. I got him. Hello. What's up, guys? Happy brew day. Happy New Year. Yeah, he's 5 months now, which is crazy. So if you're wondering why I haven't brewed in like 3 months, partly it's this guy, and then the other part of it is just like family came to visit in October, like every other week, and then thanks, man. He is a sweet boy. Yeah. He's like a little Ewok. Man. And then we had November holidays and all that craziness. And I also had annual exams, which suck because my job depends on that. If I mess up, I don't have my job. So there's that stress. And then we had Christmas. So it's just been all the fun things. So, yep. And this guy, man, he's so much fun. He started growling recently,
Yeah.
so he'll just sit there, like we just like lay him down and let him have his like time with the toys, and he's just like, "Arr, arr." It's like, what are you doing, little guy? But he's pretty much sleeping through the night now, which is good, and he's just
waking up from naps. He's a little bit.
yeah, he's a little zoned out. But he's a sweet boy, and he's got the sweetest smile ever. He's my future brew partner. We're gonna brew beer and some root beer maybe.
Root beer.
Root beer.
Heck yeah.
And then I'm gonna try my hand at some non-alcoholic beer this year too. I have an idea.
Dandelion beer.
What?
Dandelion.
Oh, dandelion.
Dandelion beer. Oh, maybe dandelion wine. I was thinking like on the long line of root beer.
I thought she said
I
damned
was
lion
such a-
beer, and I was like, what? Damned lion beer? What the heck is that?
Oh, what is that?
Maybe that's the name it should be.
The
Dandelion beer called the damned lion. The damned lion. Anyways, hi buddy. What you doing? He's like, it's freaking cold
He
outside.
doesn't know. He's all bundled up.
Yeah, I see
No,
somebody
it
else
is
just
cold.
jumped on. If you're wondering what's going on, I'm just showing my brew
Showing
baby off.
the babe.
Yeah. But we're brewing beer. If you're new to the channel, we're brewing beer.
There's some hot
I'll show you guys here
liquid over here.
in a moment, which I'm gonna hand off the brew baby.
Got him.
Okay, bye, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Oh.
love you. Anyways, yeah. So let me show you. I'll show you. I show you. Hold on. Anyways, I just had to show off my son because he was the best Christmas gift ever. Okay, so this is the ingredients list and everything. But this is what's going on. Not a whole lot's happening, but I'll show you. If you're new to the channel, what the heck? Lefty Lucy, Austin. Jeez. Okay, so I'm gonna just tilt it down just a tad. So what we've got in here is our mash tun. We've got grain in here steeping right now as we speak, and then we're heating up our sparge water right now in the spoil pot. So it's kind of a boring time of the stream that you jumped in on. So you're probably like, what in Sam hell is this guy doing? It's not that exciting. We talked a little bit about the science behind beer a little bit ago. And so we talked about the science behind the beer. And now we're just letting the science happen. Before too long, we're going to sparge our beer, and we're going to begin the boil, and we're going to add our hops. In fact, I can show you guys the hops that we're using today. Hold on one second. They're Cascade hops from my parents' house. And it's funny because I don't have actual weights, so we'll see how well they turn out. And they're getting old too, so I don't know. We'll just have to use a scale or something. But these are our whole hops. These are whole hop cones. Yeah, Cascade hops from, I believe this is 2023 harvest. So yeah, it's been about a year. So I got to use them. Yeah. Hopefully, I might just add extra just to give it some potency because over time they just lose potency. But I'm sure they'll still be good because they've been in the fridge and they've been sealed, so they should be good. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But we're making a pumpkin oatmeal stout today. So we got our pumpkin pie spices, which I put together. I processed the pumpkin 2 days ago. So I got sugar pie pumpkin, which is a very high sugar pumpkin. It's got a lot more flesh than like your jack-o'-lantern pumpkin that you get for carving. And we roasted it for an hour. And so basically what I did was I cleaned the outside, I halved it, gutted the inside out, and then I rubbed it down with the two halves with coconut oil, and I sprinkled some sea salt on it, and then I put it on like a cookie sheet with parchment paper on it, and then I put it in the oven, 350 degrees for about an hour. Also poke holes in the skin if you ever try doing this. So we roasted it, pulled it out, peeled the skin off, mashed it up, and now it's in the fridge right now. So yeah, and it is delicious. So that's going to give us our squashy flavor, our little pumpkin squashy flavor. And then we're going to have our pumpkin pie spices. that's what we're trying to shoot for with all of it. And I decided to do an oatmeal stout with this particular type of beer because I wanted it to be kind of creamy, like a pumpkin pie. So really, I should just call it the pumpkin pie stout. I don't actually have a name for it. I think I was calling it like the New Year's pumpkin stout or something like that. But I don't know. I just thought of that last night. I've just been trying to figure out what the Sam Hale I'm gonna call it. So that's what we're doing today. Anyways, so like I said, it's right now. It's like the most boring part, just waiting. I'm gonna speed up this process because we've got 33 minutes left before we have to sparge. So right now we're heating up our sparge water, and like I said, that sparge water we're gonna put in this taller container, and we're going to use gravity, and we're going to move the hot water, and we're going to rinse our grain bed off, and it's going to be freaking awesome. When we rinse off our grain bed, there's a couple things that we're looking for, or that I get really excited about. Part of it is, does the color look right for the beer that I'm wanting to brew? The second thing I'm looking for is the flavor. It's a good chance for me to like really get a good idea of like what the flavor is going to be like for the beer, and also I like to call it the angel share. It's not a true angel share like you would get with distilling, but it's still pretty yummy. And hey, what's up, Tion? Happy New Year! Welcome, welcome. You just sounds similar to Southern Tears Warlock. Ooh, I'll have to try that one. We just showed Brew Baby off, so I'll have to have him come back and do another cameo here in a minute. He's 5 months old now. It's crazy. But anyways, it's great to have you back. Anyways, so going back to the angel share, it's just, I like to call it the angel share. It's not true angel share, but it's my way of taking like a sample of what that beer is going to taste like before it's even done, before I add the hops, before it goes through fermentation, and it's super fun. So I'll show you when I explain it all. But anyways, it's so great to have you guys here. I have missed you guys so much. The last 3 months have probably been the longest 3 months. All good. It's not been bad. It's been good. It's just been lots of family, holidays, exams, and work. So it's just been a lot going on. I did get a chance to brew with Dr. Hoppenstein though. That was sweet. His setup is awesome. I really wanted to stream, but we had a lot that we were going to be doing, and he was in teacher mode. So sensei. So we learned a lot. I learned a lot. He's a great teacher and a great brewer, and it was fantastic. Such a cool time. So thanks, Dr. Hoppenstein, and big shout out to Dr. Hoppenstein. I'm wearing his shirt right now because it's a really good quality shirt, which in fact, Dr. Hoppenstein, if you have a chance, I would love to know the company that does your shirts because it is great fabric and it's high quality. Better quality than the Speakeasy Brewer t-shirt that I gave you. So I would love to get your insight on that. Anyways, I'm so pumped that you guys are here. I have missed you guys so much, and I've been waiting for this day. And I kept thinking I was going to be like a week from now, then it turned into a month and all this other stuff. But we're going to start out 2025 the right way by brewing beer. It's really freaking cold here. You can see my breath as I'm talking. It's cold. Yeah, I like to call it my comrade hat. It is rabbit fur hat. It's great. It's super warm. Oh, it also does this too. Like when I go hiking up in the mountains, so I got this like thing. It wiggles, and it knocks my mic off. Knock it off. Anyway, so there's that. So yeah. Anyways, it's my fancy hat. Oh no! Now I'm dropping my mic. We'll figure it out. We're gonna make it work. It's all good. Anyways, yeah, it's pretty cold here right now. It's let's find out what temperature it is. I'm gonna guess it's like 30 something. It's cold enough my phone is like slow. It's 34 with the wind. So they say it feels like 28. So yeah, it's pretty freaking cold. Right? I know. I would never move to Alaska. mostly because that's freaking cold up there. But I do want to go visit Alaska. I hear it's amazing. Um, like I would love to experience like 24 hours of daylight and at least once, and 24 hours a night at least once. That'd be fun. Man, we got 5 people now. Welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. We're brewing beer. That's what we do here at the Speakeasy Brewer: is brew beer and drink beer, taste test, review, that kind of thing. I am fighting off a sickness, so today is going to be like an off brew day for me because I'm not going to be drinking beer. Normally, I at least try a beer, and I have some of Dr. Hoppenstein's beer that I was going to do a taste test on, but I should probably do whatever I can to not let this sickness get any worse. So we're just focusing on coffee and hydration today, and that's what's going on. I know. I do have the right hat. You're right. Yep, you're right. Okay, so we've got 28 minutes before we sparge. We're good on temperature. So while we're doing this, I do want to share with y'all kind of my plans for this year. I'm going to just move my camera around because I'm tired of looking down and squatting. I'm just going to make this work. Make it work. Okay, cool. You guys can see me. Okay, cool. And you can see my whole messy garage. It's a mess for sure, but it's a place to brew beer. Okay, so first of all, vision for 2025. I am, with permission from my wife, going to be brewing about 2 beers a month. And my challenge for myself this year, I will probably do every other beer that I do will be kind of an experimental beer, something fun, something different. So this is experimental, something fun, something different, but I am also kind of keeping to um, the like a technical oatmeal stout. So one of my goals to improve my craft is to work on being technical with my beer. And I know, Dr. Oppenstein, you're probably squirming in your boots, going like, "Oh, that's not part of craft beer." I know. It's more fun to experiment and try new things. But honestly, I feel like for the next step, what I want to do is I want to put a lot of beers into competitions this year. In the last competition, I turned 6 beers in. I didn't win anything. I got good scores, and everybody said this is amazing, but it's way out of profile or whatever. So what I want to do is to hone my craft. I, I'm going to do one technical beer and then a fun beer every month. So 2 beers a month, and then when the competitions come, I'll turn in my beers and see. Competitions are a great way. So if you're new to homebrewing, and let's say you're getting into the all grain side of things, if you're doing a kit, I mean, you could try doing a kit. In fact, heck, I should do a kit and see if I can win a competition. Wouldn't that be funny? I'll do that one of these streams because maybe you can. I don't know. But once you get into all grain and you can start experimenting with your own recipes and really kind of honing in flavor and beer profiles, that's a good time for you to start putting beers into competitions. Yes, it's scary, and the likelihood of you winning first or second time around, not high. But the great thing about it is it allows you to get some really good feedback from people who know beer really, really well. Um, so there's that. It's a great way to learn. And then it also allows you to look into like the beer judge certification process, like all the styles of beer and what each style entails. So a lot of cool stuff. It's a great way to learn. So that's my goal for this year. So just heads up there. And wow, we got 7 viewers. Holy smokes. Okay, I'll welcome to Speakeasy Brewer. I'm just chatting right now because we're waiting for our beer to be ready to move into the boil. We're gonna add hops and stuff like that. So if you're new to the Speakeasy Brewer, welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. If you've been a follower for a while, thanks for your patience. It's been 3 months since I brewed or streamed, and we're gonna turn that ship right around, and we're gonna stream and brew as much as we possibly can. And we're gonna do some beer reviews, beer tastings, and try a bunch of different things. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Anyways, I see a lot of messages, so let me go to the message board and we're gonna see what we got here. More difficult to brew beer when it's so cold. You need the right temperature to brew, but it cools down faster, right? So good, Tion. Well done. That's a great question, and you're correct. So I actually talked about this earlier when we were doing our mash. So when you're wanting to get your mash temperature correct for the style of beer, the body for the style of beer, you do want to have the temperature correct as much as you can. And I was off by six degrees, so it's low enough that the beer body, will be a little bit lower, unfortunately. But according to Dr. Hoppenstein, he was saying that the pumpkin should add some more sugar and body, so that'll help. But yeah, so when it's so cold, you have to move things really fast because the temperature changes so much. So I actually warm the water up. Our target water temperature was supposed to be 165. I bumped it up to 170, trying to anticipate a loss of 5 degrees between moving from the pot to our container, and then adding our grain as well is going to drop that down a little bit. So it was a little too much. So we dropped about 6 degrees below our target. It'll still work fine. It'll still be great beer. But it's some notes I got to add, right? So when you're dealing with not climate controlled areas like my garage, that's what you have to deal with, is just temperature control is a little bit harder, right? But it's doable. You just got to play around with it. And then it's funny because it's like I'll brew beer all winter and I'll plan for temperature loss all winter, and then my first beer in an 80-degree day, I'm planning for temperature loss, but then I don't lose that temperature because it's not cold, and then all of a sudden it's too hot. So yeah, going between the seasons, if you're in a non-climate controlled environment, yeah, you got to watch the temperature because it will change things. So very good, Theon. And Swine Hunter, dude, welcome. Don't worry. If you guys are here lurking, totally fine. It's cool to lurk. I should make a lurking ale. You can make classic style. Well, you can do anything else. Okay, cool. Thanks, Doctor. Doctor. Um, yeah. So, anyways, road plan or roadmap. So, like I said, one technical beer a month, one experimental beer for the month, just to play around with flavors. Trying to hone my skill and craft, try and improve it. I'm gonna put my stuff into competitions. In fact, I still have my last competition notes from my other beers. I could bring those out and talk about that while we're doing the boil if I have time. But it's just a great way. Other than that, there's a chance that I think we're gonna move this summer, end of the summer, and we're playing around with the idea of moving to Colorado or staying here in Utah. So regardless of what ends up happening, we will still be brewing, but during that move process, it might be a month or so before I stream again. You guys will know when that happens. But once we do move, and we make the decision to stay where we move, I am going to be running full steam ahead to starting a brewery. So you guys have known since you've been watching my channel that I've wanted so badly to start my own brewery. So I said from day one of streaming, I'm like, I'm gonna brew beer. I suck at it now, but we're gonna learn, we're gonna grow, we're gonna improve our craft, and we're gonna become a pro brewer one way or another. And so that's why I've been learning as much as I can so I can teach you guys, because me teaching helps me to learn or want to learn, so I have more information and content to give to you guys. Oh, I got distracted also. So there's that. Yeah, so anyways, but I want to move to pro brewing. So I'm currently actually working through financials and setting up a business plan and working on branding as we speak, for that time. So it all is hinged on when we move. So it will probably be 7 months probably before we move, give or take. It also depends on a handful of factors. But yeah, so that's probably the only thing that's slowing me down right now, is just whether we move or not. Because then it's all about location and rules, and states have different rules and all that other stuff. And man, we're up to 8 people. Hey, I just want to say hi to all y'all. For those of you guys who are just jumping on and you've been around forever, you guys are amazing. I love y'all. I miss y'all. And I'm so glad that we're doing this again. It's so good. feels great. And I'm so excited to open this container and smell grains again. Smells so good. Anyways, so yeah, so that's another thing that I want to do as part of the roadmap for me streaming is one, I want to build community that's going to be involved with the beer, right? Because that's all going to help with my marketing for the brewery. And then I also kind of want to go through like some of the steps of starting a brewery. Like what are the things that I'm thinking about and learning, and what are the steps that I'm taking to make sure that I'm legal and that I can start a successful business, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that I want to teach you guys. Whether you guys use it or not, I don't care. I think it'd be fun to at least show the process. Because here's the other thing too. It's like most of the time, it's like you have videos and they're like, I wanted to do this and I went on this long journey and had lots of failures, but here I am, a great success. And here I'm going to teach you from this place of success. And I'm like, well, I can make good beer, but I'm just going to go through the process. You've seen all my fail points when my stout and, or sorry, yeah, it was my stout and Kolsch like a year ago that failed, when I messed up with kegs, when I messed with other beers. Like I try to be not biased. Like I try to be very critical about my own beer because it helps me become a better brewer. Um, so there's that. Um, and you got to be somewhat critical of yourself. Um, but I also want to bring you guys along in the journey because I'm thinking uh, you guys get to see me in my good moments and my bad moments through my failures and my successes. And it's kind of cool. And you guys can at least be like, hey, I was there when Speakeasy Brewer just started. And he's come a long way. And now he's starting his brewery. And then one day, if I have my own brewery, I can send beer to you guys legally. Um, and then the other thing too is you guys can come to my brewery and I'll show you my stuff. And you guys can brew with me, which will be fun. My oh bye, Tion. Our little guy is awake, but yeah, I understand the way of parents. All right, we're just moving hot. And I've said this before, but y'all, when you're dealing with hot water, hot items, you're gonna get burned. So I always highly recommend that you use your bare hands, because that way you stay protected. Stay protected. Remember, use protection. Okay. Remember also, lift with your legs, not with your back. Okay. Okay, cool. We're getting closer. Let's see. What do I want to do here? I'm trying to find a good way for you guys to see all the stuff that's going on, because we're going to be doing our Vorlaufing here before too long. In that process, so many wires. Use protection. Flash step over the wires. Okay, anyways, here we are. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just gonna take a quick peek at the camera because I want to make sure you all can see the thing. Anyways, okay, cool. This is me just trying to see what I can do. I want to make sure. I'm gonna move this around real fast. Okay, there we go. You're gonna need to see all that stuff. Okay, okay, cool. You guys can see it all. Sweet. All right, so pretty soon here, what we're going to do is we're going to start our Vorlauf and our Sparge. Okay, so Vorlauf is basically, it's a German word, but it's basically us recirculating our wort back through the grain bed. So I've got this handy dandy pitcher, and what we're going to do is we're going to capture some of the grain, or the tea, the wort. We're going to do it probably like 3 times, maybe 4 times, depending. It's a stout, so I don't really care if we have um, too much like grain particulate in there, but we're gonna just do it anyways, just because it's good to stay standard. It's good for the clarity of the beer and the cleanliness of the beer, and it'll be a lot less crap in the pot for me to filter out. So anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of samples of this wort, and we're going to run it until we see it pretty much clean and clear. But what we do is we take a picture of it, and we're going to take that picture, we're going to pour it over the grain bed nice and gently, not too fast. We don't really want to splash a lot at this time. But we're going to move it over nice and gently uh, over the fullness of the grain bed, and um, and that's just gonna one filter the cause the grain bed to become a filter, and then it's also gonna kind of flush the bottom out of the grain. What I didn't show you all was that there's a false bottom on this um, mash tun, and that false bottom basically holds the grain bed up high, and it allows the wort to come through clean, and then it goes through the valve and into the boil pot. There should be no more particulate, but that's why we're vorlaufing. We're just kind of running it through, circulating it, cleaning it, and just creating that grain bed to be a filter. Um, and then the next thing is we're going to sparge. So we're going to take that hot water that we just finished heating. We're going to run that hot water through our grain bed, and that's going to run off all of the sugars, all of the flavor, and proteins and things like that. It's going to rush it, not rush it, but rinse it off into the boil pot, and then once it goes into the boil pot, we're going to heat it up, bring it to a boil, and we're going to add our hop additions, which today we only have one hop addition. It's going to be um, like 2 ounces, maybe a little more than 2 ounces of Cascade hop from my parents' house. It's a whole hop flour rather than the pellet, which is they basically crush the hops and then they compress it into a pellet form. It's a little more potent, but it's still good. But we're gonna put that in. I've got these special baggies too for today. One is they're like grain bags for um, things. So one is going to be used for our pumpkin, and then one's going to be used for our hops. And we're going to put these in the boil to kind of hold everything together, because the hop flour, especially with the yeast that we're using, has a tendency to float around and plug up the bung, and it explodes. So we're going to try and do that. And we're also going to use the grain bag for the pumpkin, because the pumpkin is just, it's going to add a lot of particulate as well. So we're going to have a lot of what we call trube, which is, it's usually like um, any of the remaining grain particles, um, hop particles. If you're adding fruit particles. We're also going to add spices, so it's going to be spice particles, all kind of floating around, and that all has a tendency to sink to the bottom of the pot during the whirlpool phase. So that's when we turn off the flame, start cooling the beer, and we run it through a whirlpool, and all that stuff settles out, and that kind of allows us to avoid getting that crap into our fermenter. So I'll get a little of that crap in our fermenter just because um, I don't have a pump and I don't have a way really to um, do it in a more effective, efficient way. So we're just going to lift our pot and we're going to pour it into our fermenter. And by doing so, we're adding a lot of oxygen too, so that's helpful. The yeast need oxygen as well as the sugar to uh, grow, multiply, thrive, ferment, that kind of thing, do their job. Um, so it's a great way to enter a lot of oxygen, just like, pouring it in to the fermenter. So yeah, there's that. So where was I going with that? I was going somewhere with that. I can't remember where I was going, but that's what happens. Um, oh yeah. Anyways, I was trying to reduce the amount of trub. That's what it was. So yeah, that's that. And the other thing too. So the hops, I'm gonna put in our compost, and our pumpkin we might use again. So it's good. It might not be good after we boil it. I don't know. But we were thinking of making like a pumpkin soup out of it, especially with the flavor that it would get from our stout, like the sugars and the roastiness. We're gonna try it. We'll see. But the other big thing is we're gonna take all of our grain today and we're gonna make spent grain bread. It's a great way to um, reuse your resources. Normally, if we're not making bread with the grains, I'll dump it in a compost pile. The worms love grains, by the way. and it's a great way to create soil for your garden. Um, but you can do all sorts of stuff with your grain. You can make spent grain pizza dough. You can make spent grain dog treats and bread, all sorts of things. And it's just a really great way to get more out of your grain. So you're getting beer and then bread out of it. And the other great thing about it is since you're using the actual grain itself, you're getting like these high protein rich breads. So it's way healthier than you would get from like the store. It's a lot of fun. But when you're doing stouts, like the last stout, the Black Widow stout that I did, we made spent grain bread with that, and it was absolutely phenomenal bread. It was sweet, it was kind of chocolatey, and a little bit of carameliness, and man, it was so good. And it added like a certain darkness to the bread, which was just awesome. So, anyways, there's some things that you can do with your grain. So it's always good to be like innovative and try and find ways to be sustainable so you're not wasting resources. I think the hardest resource for me to save, which I save a little bit, is water. And it's hard because uh, you're using the water, you use a lot of water. You use water to clean, you use water to sanitize, you use water to cool. And so when we cool, we're using, I think we use about 16 gallons of water, at least on the scale, to cool it down. We do have the benefit of it being winter and being 28 degrees outside. So that helps for the cooling. So we might not use as much water. But then the question is like, can I use some of that water for cleaning? And the answer is yes, you can use water for cleaning, which is helpful, and that's one way to save it. Or like in the summertime, I'd use it, and I had this little rain gutter that I would move around, and I'd flow the water into. Once it was cool enough, I'd flow the cooler water into our garden beds and just use that to water our plants. So just being, you know, creative. So, anyways, all the fun things that you get to do with brewing. And the other thing too is like you can be creative with the recipes too. I mean, there's so many things. Like I told you guys, I made that Irish coffee ale. Fantastic. I need to do that again, and I need to make it better. But yeah, and so I got to show you guys this because I'm all excited about this. And then I've got one more thing that I'm going to do before we do our Vorlauf. We got 6 minutes. But I got myself my special notebook. When I went to meet with Dr. Oppenstein, I wrote all my questions down. But all my business ideas are in here, all my beer ideas, all my strategies for streaming for 2025. It's all in here. So yeah, I'm going to be working on my basically marketing and branding and business plan for the year. And then when it comes to live stream, we're just going to focus on trying to build the community on Twitch, but we're also going to try and penetrate Instagram and YouTube. I don't know how to do that. So if anybody has ideas, let me know. I haven't updated my Instagram in a while. But anyways, so pass the time a little bit because, well, we got 6 minutes. I've got some fun trivia cards that I got for Christmas, which was super fun. So, anyways, I'll ask a couple. So if you guys are paying attention, ha ha, yes. We'll do it the right way. Anyways, okay, I've got some questions for you all. Answer if you know. I'll give you the possible answers. You tell me what you think. Okay. What is something Dos Equis' most interesting man in the world has not done? Is it A, cured narcolepsy, C, had an awkward moment, B, spoken French in Italian, or D, saved a bear from a trap? And the question again is, what is something Dos Equis' most interesting man in the world has not done yet? A, cured narcolepsy, C, had an awkward moment, B, spoken French in Italian, or D, saved a bear from a trap? Ha. Oh, yes. Okay, Tion, are you here? Did you jump on again? If you are here, show us your presence. Okay, Juan Hunter says A. Okay, anybody else want to say something?
Found this in the back.
Oh, that's so cute. Little Dino.
Little dino.
Here's a little man.
He's getting so tall.
He's getting so tall.
This onesie is already too small.
The lighting is horrible.
Put it on him.
The lighting is horrible, but this is him.
What are you doing? Look up here.
He's like, what is this? What is everything?
Look up here. He's like, there's nothing to look at. There's just a black thing.
Yep. Okay, anyways, this is little man. Okay, and he's got his old dinosaur shirt on, which is super cute.
Yeah,
Okay, so since nobody else is answering, the answer is B, spoken French in Italian.
Oh, I asked you this.
Yeah, you asked this question already.
The
My answer when I did it was
man.
I was gonna say had an awkward moment, but turns out that wasn't it. That was the runner-up. Okay, one more, maybe two more. Okay, what is not a tip for baking with beer, according to King Arthur Baking Company? Let me read that again, because what is not a tip for baking with beer, according to the King Arthur Baking Company? Is it A, use freshly opened, B, best with full fat dairy, C, eat the same day, or D, use right out of the refrigerator?
Rob.
Oh, what's up, Kaylee? Yeah.
Kaylee.
Yeah, the cute little boy.
I want to step on so I can say hi too.
Okay,
Oh,
she's gonna
what's up?
say hi.
Hey. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Little
it's weird
man.
because we have to read over here, but we have to talk to this.
Yeah.
How's Christmas? How's Dad? Who's Dad? Just kidding. Look at him. He's so big.
He's getting
huge.
He's getting big.
He's getting so big.
26 inches. Right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I tried to measure him again. I think it's like 6.5.
He's growing fast.
He's growing so big. He's got some like 12-month clothes and some like 6 to 9 month clothes. He's 5 months old. Sometimes I can get him in 3-month clothes. So.
Well, it's funny because it's like we have some friends that are, what, 7 or 8 months old or more, and he's bigger than them already. Yeah. Maybe not fatness wise.
His hands are bigger and his feet are bigger.
And he's taller. Yeah. The brew baby.
Anyway, it is 29 degrees out here, and he's wearing a t-shirt. So.
Okay. Okay.
I can bring him out bundled up if you do want to hold him more.
Well, I'm gonna be busy with some other stuff here before too long. Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's good to have them be chub because then they have energy to grow. Okay, so the answer to this question is use right out of the fridge. Anyways, King Arthur, I think that's isn't that a, yeah, he's 24 inches. Wow. Yeah. Amy left, by the way. Or Brubella left, by the way. Anyways. Okay. Let's see what our time frame is. I might have one more question for y'all. I've got so many of these cards, and it's good for beer knowledge. Okay, so which country was the biggest exporter of beer in 2019? Was it A, Argentina, B, Germany, C, Belgium, or D, Mexico? Again, the question is, which country was the biggest exporter of beer in 2019? Was it A, Argentina, B, Germany, C, Belgium, or D, Mexico? Okay, Rob says Belgium. Swine Hunter says Mexico. And Kaylee says Belgium also. Okay, I'll give you all a second. Okay, Belgium would be your second choice. Okay, does anybody else want to have a say in this before I read the answer? Doctor, are you available? Although that might be cheating because I feel like you would know. But that's good. If you know, that's awesome. I didn't know. I was close. Okay, the answer is D, Mexico, and C, Belgium is the runner-up. I guessed Belgium when Amy asked this question too, and turns out it's Mexico. And she kept saying, remember 2020? And I'm like, yeah, but it's 2019. COVID didn't exist in 2019. But yeah, Mexico, they had the Coronas. Okay, that's a timer for the mash to be done. So they had the Corona beer. Remember how much Corona beer it became a thing in 2020 because it was cheap and it was coronavirus. So they just banked on it. Anyways. Wow, my coffee is way cold now. Okay. All right. We're gonna Vorlauf now, and Sparge, and gosh. Okay, hold on one second. I was gonna do something. Okay, Sparge, things, stuff. Heavens to Betsy. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna do. I was gonna take a quick temp check of everything to see if I might have been wrong, because sometimes the steam from the beer or the mash can sometimes interfere with the temperature reading, as well as um, the foam. Okay, it says 114. It's hard to do everything. All right, whatever. Okay, time to take that off. And by the way, it smells freaking fantastic. Um, we got this cool little thing for our Sparge. It's a little, I don't know, cone dispenser of water thingy. Anyways, I'll show you how it works when the time comes. Actually, I don't want to put that on yet. Let's do the Vorlauf. Okay, so Vorlauf, here we go. Okay, here we go with the Vorlauf. So remember what I said. We are circulating our wort. I also want to take a temperature reading of this when it comes out. All right. Okay, so you got our grain, and we're gonna Vorlauf. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Okay, so we're gonna take a little sample. We're gonna run it very slowly, and we're going to. Oop, I can do a little faster than that. So you can kind of see right now the color from. I mean, it's. I'll show you a little bit closer in a minute, but you can see right here the color is beautiful. It's like a dark brown. Actually, very yeah, nice dark brown color. It's perfect. So right now, what you can't see because it's far enough away is there's a ton of particulate in here. Trying to see if I can get a good temperature reading. Yeah, it's hard because it's, I don't know. It's hard in the cold. It'll still work. Worst case scenario is it's just going to have a ton of sugar that the yeast is going to eat, and it's just going to have a lighter body. But anyways, we're pulling a nice small amount out. So I try to do like a half to a full pitcher, but you'll notice that I'm doing it slowly. And the reason I'm doing it slowly is because I don't want there to be channels that get created in this grain bed. Because those channels mean that I'm not going to get all of the sugar, all of the flavor, all the color. It's just going to end up being less efficient. So here it is. This is our beer. Look at that. Beautiful stout color. The color is amazing, and the smell is amazing too. So we're going to slowly pour it over a grain bed, nice and light. And we want it to be balanced in terms of like pouring it in. And the reason we do that is, again, we don't want there to be channels that get built up in the grain bed. So we're going to go again, and already the second pull is way cleaner than the first. So we might even just do this one more time, and then one more time after this, and then we'll go ahead with the sparging. Sparging should be, a nice and slow process, but it needs to be. It's kind of a challenge because sometimes you can go too fast, sometimes you can go too slow, and you run into issues there. And I'll explain a little bit about those issues as we do it. For me, it takes between 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I think I should be going a little bit slower, but I don't know. That's just the way I'm doing things now. Um, yeah, this is way cleaner. This is looking good. This is great. So I'm actually going to take a quick sample of this right now because I really want to taste it. You guys, this color is beautiful. This is going to be a beautiful beer. I have a feeling. I'm going to take a small sample of it, which is right here. And the rest of this, I'm going to pour again on the grain bed. Again, nice and gentle. And then one more time for good measure. The other thing too is if you go too fast, you're gonna get a lot more particulate in these pitchers. Like right now, I think I might be pulling a little too fast. It's not like the end of the world. Again, if you get a little bit of particulate in your boil pot during the chilling and the whirlpool phase after flame out, it should all kind of sink to the bottom and not be an issue. And yes, Tion, if you're still here or if you jump back on, I know I will tell you about the smell and the flavor and everything. Just give me 1 second. Because the grain bed itself right now, it smells like, well, if you can imagine the smell of like wet hay or grass fields in the end of summer, that's kind of what it smells like. And then you get a mix of chocolate and maybe even a hint of coffee is kind of what I'm smelling, and that's just in the mash tun. All right, that's looking pretty good. Okay, one last time. All right, so now what we're going to do is sparge, and then I'll taste this beer once we're in the process of sparging. So I've got one tube that I'm going to connect from the mash tun down into our boil pot, and then the other one we're going to put up top. Okay. So again, let's see. It does look great, doesn't it? I'm really excited to taste it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the bottom, and now with a sparge, you really want to make sure that the flow rate is the same on the bottom as well as the top. If it's too fast down low and not fast enough up above, what can end up happening is the grain bed will get compressed, and you end up running into an issue. It's called stuck mash. And that's not a good thing. I've never had it happen, knock on wood, and hopefully it never happens. And so now I'm just going to try and match the flow rate with the hot water. And I'm basically going to rinse the whole grain bed. It might be a little fast. It's not horrible if it's too fast up top, but I think you could do better. Hold on 1 second, I gotta check something. What are you doing? Oh, you trying to get your water? Can't get your water? Sorry, the hoppy puppy is having a hard time getting his water. It's all frozen. Anyway, so I'm gonna slow it down below, and I'm going to slow it down up above, because right now where I'm at is the water is raising pretty quick in the mash tun. So I want it to try and match as much as possible. So far it's looking good. I think I've got the good flow rate. We'll see. All right, still flowing down pretty good here. In a moment, once we got about a gallon or two of wort in the pot, then we're gonna start heating it up and getting it to a boil. It's a good time to like improve your brew day efficiency by just getting it going rather than waiting until it's all in and then starting it up. It's all about time, saving time. And obviously, like, my days are a little bit longer than probably what you would do, even if it's like longer than 30, like by 30 minutes. It's longer because I'm streaming and I'm teaching and talking about stuff. If I wasn't streaming, I'd be doing a lot of things differently to speed up the process, because it takes a long time. But honestly, like, when you make good beer, it's worth taking a long time. So anyways, this is sparging. and we're just gonna let this run for now. And I just like to go back and forth. It's pretty full right now, but we're gonna come to this main screen and we're gonna talk about this beer. So this is what I like to call the Angel Share. You can see how dark it is. It's beautiful. It's nice and clear. So again, the color, the flavor that I'm smelling is kind of like a soft, bittersweet chocolate. Just a very soft hint of that. Maybe some caramely sweetness. I don't really smell like coffee like I did in this. Maybe like a roastiness, of course, and then that breadiness as well. Wow, that's good. That's so smooth. Um, it's sweet, so I definitely taste the carameliness in it and the breadiness. A little bit of roastiness. Maybe the aftertaste is kind of that bittersweet chocolate, but again, that bittersweet chocolate is so light on the flavor. It's probably, um, yeah, you can hardly taste it. You can smell it, but the taste, it's like it's almost like the taste of this chocolate is more as if it's like an aftertaste after you've had a bittersweet chocolate, like 5 minutes ago. That's how faint it is. That's good. Wow, good amount of sweetness too. Really like that. I'm gonna increase the flow rate up here just a tad. Just because it looks like it's going down a tad. One of these days, I'm gonna create a better system for like um, for sparging, but for now, this is what we got, and it works. It's slow, but you know what? Things that are valuable enough, they take time, right? The fast things aren't always the best things. So if you're gonna start brewing, I would say one, I'd recommend patience. Two, if you are horrible at hygiene and cleanliness, you might as well start practicing that now. So cleanliness and hygiene, um, patience, and um, yeah, patience. And then as you get closer and further into the brewing process, and you get all excited about trying new recipes, just be ready to take really good notes. In fact, yeah, I think I wrote down the temperature. So flavor is good. We talked about the mash. Um, okay, there's that. So Vorlauf and Sparge. Um, I can put those two words together and call it the Vorlauging. Everybody would be like, "What? What?" Anyways, okay, so we're gonna start our boil process here soon. Let's see, where are we at right now? We're at about a gallon and a half. We need this to be 7 gallons, so we have like 6.5 gallons more to go. So I'd say this is great. Um, I'm gonna do this. I see somebody else just jumped on. If you're new to the Speakeasy Brewer, we're brewing beer, and here I'll give you a quick peek at what we're doing. It's another slow moment, but we're sparging right now. So we've got our grains right here in this container, and we're rinsing off the sugar and the color and the flavor, and we're putting it in our boil pot, and we're going to be starting that boiling process here shortly. And that's probably the most exciting part, honestly. Brew day, there's just a lot of slow moments, and take advantage of those slow moments when it's just you. Like for me, when I'm streaming, I'm talking about the science and we're having fun and talking about stuff. But take advantage of the slow moments to do other things, either cleaning or preparing the hops, measuring out things. But if you're not needing to do any of those things, then you can read a book. Or if you're by yourself and not streaming, like I sometimes want to do one brew day by myself, because one of my favorite things about brew day was just blasting music. Like my neighbors knew before I started streaming. My neighbors knew when it was brew day because the garage door would be open. I'd turn my speaker up as loud as I could possibly do it, and it was just classic rock, um, playing Freebird and Zeppelin and Creedence Clearwater and all that stuff, man. Leonard Skinner's Freebird is like, that's a must. Every time I go to a bar and there's somebody live and somebody's like, "We're taking we're taking requests," I always yell Freebird and everybody's like, "Boo!" It's because that's one of the greatest songs ever. Anyways, um, yeah. So just have fun and bring friends, drink beer. That's the fun part. You're probably going like, "Well, if you're drinking beer on brew day, why aren't you drinking beer right now?" Good question. I'll tell you why. One, it is not even 11:30 yet, and two, I'm fighting off a cold, so you know what? Beer is not always the best thing to drink when you're getting sick. Um, so I'm trying to cut back on that. Um, anyways, so that's what's going on. Normally, what I do during brew day and streaming is I'll do beer tastings, and in fact, I was gonna drink two beers today. I was gonna do beer reviews. It was Dr. Hoppenstein's beers, which we had the Mercules barrel aged imperial stout, which sounds freaking amazing, and then the wheat wine, which I've never had a wheat wine before, and I was really looking forward to that one. So I had those beers all ready to go. They're in my fridge, and everything was ready to go. And yesterday, which was the day I was gonna brew, I started feeling sick, and I was like, ugh. So I'm in the process of nuking it, I'm eating tons of fruits and vegetables, drinking lots of water, tons of vitamins, and I ate a full clove of garlic today with a chaser of apple cider vinegar. So that's what I'm doing, and I don't feel horrible, but it's just I can feel my body's like, hey, bro, time to whip out the weapons of our warfare and kill this thing. So, anyways, wow, that coffee got so cold. Woo, I got a brain freeze from that. Woo, brain freeze from coffee. It doesn't really connect or click, does it? Yeah, I think this is getting too full. All right, I'm gonna put it on intermission. You guys, wait, do I have an intermission? I do. Look at that. Do I have anything on here? I don't know. Okay, yeah, I don't know what I should put in this screen. I think most streamers do like advertisements and stuff like that, but I don't do advertisements. It would be cool if I did advertisements because you get a little extra cash hole on that. But honestly, I'd rather you guys just hang out and have fun and not have to be interrupted by advertisements. So, anyways, I guess I'll just say that so that for people who are new to the channel, you guys say welcome for me, please. And then I just have to use the restroom. So I'll be right back, and I'll see you all in a second. So this is a great time for you to take a food break or to uh, do whatever, and then let's be back in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna be back sooner because I don't want my sparging to suck or fail because I don't feel like dealing with the stuck sparge today. Be bad, and we got to get the boil going soon. So, for those of you who are new, I'm sorry it's kind of boring right now. Just stick around because it's going to get really exciting here very soon. When I say very exciting, I mean we're going to be doing stuff. We're going to be putting pumpkin in. We're going to be putting hops in. We're going to be putting spices in. And if you're new to brewing and beer in general, or new to this channel and you have questions about beer, please ask away and I will answer. But put them in the messages and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. It's going to happen real fast. I promise. I'll be right back. Probably leave my mic here so you don't hear me going. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Wow, there's still 7 people. You did wait. How sweet. That's so sweet of y'all. All right. Okay, this is getting too full too fast. Also increase the flow rate down here. That would help. Okay. Let's see. Is that? Sorry. Give me a second, y'all. Trying to. It takes a little bit of work to balance everything out. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. It smells so good. All right. Anyways, let's get this boil going, shall we? All right. Open. Okay. So now we got our heat on, flame on. We're gonna start heating this water up to get it to a boil. Um, let's see. I don't have a way to measure this. Let's see. I'm gonna just do it like a very. I might have a way to weigh this. I'll be right back. I gotta go get one more thing. Whatever. I don't care. All right. So I got a scale, and we're just gonna have to make sure that this is accurate because I don't want to mess up. Because this beer, I do hope to send a competition. So I got the flow rate sped up down below, so I'm going to increase the flow rate up above. Okay, so let's see here. How is it? 14 care. This is 3.8 ounces. Okay, hold on one second. Figure this out. Problem solving. Okay, here we go. Put the bag here. Let's do this. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the exact amount of hops. Okay, we got hard to have scales this small with things that don't want to fold. Because I can't get a freaking weight. Damn. Okay. I need. Here we go. Tear this. Boom. 0.6 ounces. Okay. Sweet. 0.6 ounces. I'm going to make that note. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, if you have any questions about brewing beer, this is a good time to ask. And I will do my best to answer your questions. Getting the hops ready. Oh, yeah. I still smell. So good. Oh, so this is what it looks like. The whole hops, flour. It's all compressed, obviously, because it's been in a vacuum sealed bag. Trying to loosen it up so I can actually here we go. Put this back on. Okay. Let's see what these things are. Okay, we're almost 2 ounces. Okay, here's 2.5 ounces of hops. So we're gonna put the 2.5 ounces of hops in this container. I'm doing a little bit more. Let's just do a little bit more. Yeah, I measured this. I know what I've got here. So 2.5 ounces of hops for our bittering, and that's all we're doing. I'm gonna make a note on here. 2.5 ounces. And now we got hops that still need to be used, but this is ready to go. We're gonna throw that in, and then okay, so we're out of water up here. Things are gonna get busy. Okay, it's close enough. Okay, so sparging is complete. Now we're just gonna let the remaining moisture in our mash go into our boil pot and get to about 7 gallons. That's what we're gonna leave it at, and then we're gonna boil it. We're gonna get about 1.5 gallons of boil off. Let's see. No, we'll do a gallon of boil off. So we're gonna lose 1 gallon, and then we're gonna lose another 1/2 gallon of beer when we move it into the fermenter. Thank you. It is. Ventorious. What's up? Hey, thanks for saying hi and welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. We are brewing a pumpkin oatmeal stout. And yes, I know it's the new year and it's no longer October or November or December, but I had some sugar pie pumpkins, and so that's what we're brewing today. And yeah, we're just getting things going. So I'll show you real fast. Hey, by the way, thanks for jumping on and saying hi. It's great to have you. Welcome to Speakeasy Brewer. And thanks for the follow as well. I just saw the follow, so you're awesome. We are going to be doing a lot of brewing this year. I was just telling everybody that my roadmap for the next year, 2025, is going to be doing 2 beers a month. One is going to be more of like technical beer, uh, which I'm going to be using to kind of hone my craft and really understand processes well, as well as building some recipes that are to profile. And then I'm going to turn those beers into competitions, and then I'm going to have a bunch of fun beers. So I've got a handful of beers that I've got coming down the pipeline. This is one of them, which is a pumpkin oatmeal stout. I do have a belated Christmas ale that I want to do that I've been thinking about all year. So that'll probably be my next one. So my this beer and next beer will be kind of a fun one. And then I think yeah, I might try my hand at an IPA. I've done IPAs before, and in my opinion, they were delicious, but really sticking it to the profile. There's a few competitions that are going to be coming up here in the next 3 or 4 months. So if I can get like 5 beers ready to go for those competitions, then I'm going to do it. So, anyways, welcome to Speakeasy Brewer. I'm glad that you're here. We are heating up the. Oh, I was going to show you this. Sorry. So, and I saw you put something up there. I'll be right back to that here in a moment, and then I'll answer your question or respond. But we're just finishing our sparge right now, and we're in the process of heating our wort up right now. So we're getting it to a boil, which is fairly close. And then we're using Cascade hops today, which is kind of unusual for stout. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It's not too unusual. In fact, these hops are from my parents' property. They grow hops on their property as well as grapes. They have a vineyard up there, and their hops are really freaking good. And so I put their hops in. They gave me a lot of hops, so I put their hops pretty much in almost every beer. I'm like, I'm gonna do Cascade hops in this one, and it works out really well. Anyways, let's see. So nice. My recent brew is an ESB. Just finishing jotting up the recipe for dry. Ooh, dang! We're gonna become friends, man. I love that. I actually had 2 ESBs in Indiana. Was it a couple weeks ago? I think so. Hoppenstein. I was there in December 11th. So Dr. Hoppenstein, he has a brewery in Monticello, Indiana called Copacetic, and I went out and brewed with him on the 11th of December. And he led me to a brew pub called Ripple Brewing, right? Rod Ripple. Oh gosh, I can't. I'll have to remember it. Um, Rod Ripple. I don't know why I can't remember it. Dr. Hoppenstein, forgive me. But anyways, it's the oldest brew pub in Indiana. And I had their ESB, and it was on cask, and it was freaking amazing. And then I had Dr. Hoppenstein's ESB. It was also freaking amazing. So that's awesome. So how long have you been brewing? This is my 4th year, I think. Started yeah, no, it'll be my 5th. I'm going on my 5th year. I started in 2020. It's a good hobby. um, but then I just got absolutely obsessed, which I'm sure you understand. And so now I'm just trying to improve my craft, and I'm gonna start a brewery, a nano brewery, at some point. So I'm gonna step off since 2022. That's awesome. Well, I have never done an ESB yet, so I do need to try that at one point. Okay, we're at 6.5 gallons. I'm gonna go a little bit more. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I try mostly because I'm streaming it. I try to brew 2 times a month. I took a 3 month sabbatical because I had a new kid, and who's 5 months last week. Yeah, so new kid, and then I had a ton of family coming to visit in October, and then it was work examinations, and then work, holidays, more family, all the stuff. So you know how it goes. But now that it's the new year again, and my kid's getting old enough, and we've kind of got that vibe going, we're kind of getting a good rhythm going. I'm gonna get right back into brewing. So hopefully two beers a month, and then we also do beer tastings and beer reviews on this channel as well. Which the only reason I'm not tasting any beers right now is because I'm fighting a cold or something, and I don't want to get more sick. So I'm in the process of like nuking my immune system right now. Like not nuking my immune system, but nuking the virus. But you know, putting defenses up in my immune system so I don't get sick. That way, the next time I come on, which I think I'm gonna stream here maybe a week or two. Next week I'll probably do a beer review. I'll try and find some time to make that happen because I want to try Dr. Hoppenstein's beers online on stream, and then I'll brew again. Uh, and I'll just do my Christmas ale that I wanted to try. So yeah, and so I want to be healthy for that. It is a very time-consuming hobby, but it's so much fun. I think last year, how many beers did I do? I did 2 months for 7 months, so that was like 14 beers. I did 14. I think I did almost 20 beers last year. Homebrew. Um, Sent 5 or into competition. Didn't win anything last year. I did win some. 2023, I got a silver medal for my German Pilsner and a gold medal for my oatmeal stout. All right, there's our 7 gallons. Hold on, I'll come back to that. So, but last year I had a whole bunch of fun beers of certain styles, but they weren't like really two style. So when I turned them into the competition, I got good scores, and everybody's like, "Oh, this tastes really good, but it's not to profile." And I'm like, I know it's not to profile. I knew that going in, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. This grain, so we're done with the sparge process. The grain I'm going to keep for um, spent grain bread. We're going to make this into spent grain bread. Oh, dude, do you do all grain brews? Do you do all grain? That's my first question. Because if you do, I was just saying that earlier today. I'm gonna step off screen for a second. Um, I was just saying that if you are a home brewer and you're already doing like all grain brews, that you should enter competition because man, I'll tell you what, it's a challenge and it's kind of nerve wracking to put yourself out there. Well, it's kind of like when you want to share beer with your friends, you kind of putting yourself out there for critique, and the potential somebody's not going to like your beer or something. But dude, it will improve your craft so much more because you get some great feedback. I think I've entered 3 times, 3 competitions. The 2023 was the year I did win something, and 2024 I did not win anything. So it's all good. So I'm eating stuff on the side. Oh yeah, dude, you got to do it. Well, may I be an encouragement for you? If you're doing things like ESBs, you're probably capable of putting your beers into a competition. Um, so my challenge to you for 2025 is enter a competition. There's a competition coming up for me in I think February or March, and it's a dark beer competition. So I've got my imperial, or sorry, not my imperial. Yeah. It's an imperial stout. I have an imperial stout that I made, the Black Widow Stout, 10% alcohol. Oh, it's one of my best beers. So good. And so I'm really excited to see what the feedback will be. And then I'm gonna have this pumpkin oatmeal stout. I'll turn that one in. And then I'm trying to decide about my holiday ale. Um, it's gonna be uh, I'm gonna call it a Fiat lager. It's not gonna be a Fox lager. It's not gonna be a real lager. But I'm gonna find a yeast that's an ale yeast that will basically give me some of the same uh, flavor profiles and characteristics of a lager. I've done that once with amber ale and it worked really well. So I'm gonna try and do that. And so maybe I'll make like I don't know, uh, Märzen style holiday beer. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for jumping on. Thanks for the follow. And yes, I'm going to be streaming a lot during the new year. Uh, thanks for saying hi. We'll become great friends. And I'll see you soon. All right, peace, brother. Awesome. All right, I'm going to step off screen again. Normally I eat this time every stream, and I don't want to eat in front of y'all because it's gross and it's rude. Although I'm sure there's some streamers that eat online and that's their thing, but I don't do that. All right, so our hops are ready. Once the boil starts, we're going to set the timer for 60 minutes. We're going to add our hops. Our Cascade hops for this beer are our bittering hops. So, and I add 2.5 ounces versus 2 ounces because these hops are a year old, and over time they lose their potency. So I just didn't want to buy new hops. So I was trying to save some time, save some hops. Um, they still smell great. In fact, I could probably taste one and see what the potency level is. Hmm. Not well. Yeah, it's still good. Oh yeah, that's still good. 2.5 ounces should be great. Anyways, um, we'll see because I'm slightly out of profile for an oatmeal stout at 5.9% alcohol, which is fine. Okay, we're almost to boil. We're about 10 degrees away. Um, and then the bitterness might be too much. Let's see if I do 2.5, might be right outside of it. Yeah. Well, I'm banking on the fact that um, that the potency is down because of time, and therefore I think 2.5 ounces will be like 2 ounces worth of hops. We'll see. But the nice thing about Cascade, it's a low alpha acid, which is a low bitterness, and these ones are pretty floral, so it's going to add uh, I think it's going to add a really good balance um, with the pumpkin pie spices as well as the pumpkin flavor. I think it's going to be pretty good balance. One thing that I would do, I was thinking about this a little bit, is finding some hops that would probably add a little bit more spiciness to it. Um, but some of the hops that I was looking at are higher alpha acid hops, and that would have just amped up the bitterness, and I would have ended up using like half an ounce to maintain the proper bitterness, and I just didn't want to do that because I don't know. I've got a couple of open packs already, and I'm still trying to find a time to use those. So, anyways, I don't know. Use what resources you have, right? But here, I'm going to change the camera view because things are about to change pretty quickly for us. And let me move this down so you guys can see the boil. Sorry, it's shaky for a second. Yep, you fell over. Oh, he fell over again. And I know the lighting is pretty bad. Let me see if I can move this around. Give me a second, y'all. Is that better? Kind of, sort of. All right. Anyways, I am going to move this slightly off so we can get kind of asymmetrical boil going. And that asymmetrical boil is going to actually cause there to be this rolling boil that it's convective basically. So the bubbles and the heat will come up one side and it'll just cause the hops to rotate. So we're getting pretty close. 200 degrees. I see a little bit of a rolling boil. With this part of the process, you want to be cautious about boil over, just because it can happen. I don't think we'll have to worry about that with this beer in particular because it's a lower, it's got lower sugar. My last beer, the Black Widow Stout, it had a ton more sugar in it, and it almost boiled over. In fact, I think it did a little bit. But since it had so much extra sugar, it was also very active on the fermentation to the point where it exploded. I posted photos on the Discord channel, so if you are new to the channel and you want to see some of those photos, go join the Discord. I'm gonna try this. Did that help at all? Okay, that helped a little bit in terms of the color, I guess. I don't know. So you can at least see the rolling boil, and it's got a tan head, which is great. Let me see if I could do this. Actually, hold on. Move this around. Sorry, I'm making you all sick, but can't even see. How about now? You can see a little bit of that tan head right there. That's what we can expect um, for the head on the beer, which is great. That's what we want. That's within profile for us. Okay, so we got 206. It kind of looks like a rolling boil. So I'm going to just spin it around a little bit, kind of create a whirlpool. It's a nice thing about having a large pot outside and using gas is because if it starts to boil over, there's two processes or two tips that I would give you for preventing boil over. One is, okay, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna start the timer. Hold on one second. The first tip is you could blow on it. Come on. My phone is being so slow because it's so freaking cold out. Okay, so I'm gonna throw the hops in and start it and get this all the way in. All right, so in 45 minutes, so you can see how the foam is starting to build. So in 45 minutes, we'll add our pumpkin, and we'll also add our wort chiller, which I'll show you that here in a second. But when you're trying to prevent boil over, when you're using an electric stove or something like that, it's really challenging to have that control because with gas, you can at least turn it off and it stops heating up immediately and it'll chill out. The foam will go down. Another thing you could do is you could blow on it. At this stage in the process, you're not going to introduce any bacteria or in my case maybe a virus or something like that because it's boiling, right? So all that stuff's going to boil off anyways. So we got a nice rolling boil, and hopefully we're gonna get these hops going here, and then we're going to add our wort chiller and pumpkin at 15 minutes. So here, I'll show you real fast what the wort chiller looks like. For those of you who are jumping on and are new to the channel, welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. I just realized the lighting sucks, so I'll have to try and show you guys a better view of the boil. But anyways, here's our wort chiller. It's just a copper coil that allows water to flow through it, and we're going to flow cold water. So what we're going to do is we're going to put ice and tap water from the hose in this container, and so it's going to be really, really cold. And we're going to move that water through this wort chiller, which will be inside of our beer, and it's going to cool it really fast. Normally, I can cool my beer within like 10 to 15 minutes. It's a little longer in the summertime just because, well, there's less of a temperature difference. So the more temperature difference there is, like if this water is 36 degrees Fahrenheit and the beer is 100 or 200 degrees, that temperature difference is going to cool that beer down a lot faster. But once you start getting to a smaller range of temperature, like the beer is 80 degrees and you've got 50-degree water, it's going to take a lot longer to cool down. It'll take longer to cool down that beer from, what did I say, 70 degrees to 50 degrees, which is the water, than it would be to have 50-degree water cooling 200-degree water down. Okay, makes sense? But that's what this is for. This is going to speed up that process, and having ice also does it. And the nice thing about doing this in the wintertime in a non-climate controlled is it will cool down much faster because it's just going to cool down just because it's cold out. But we put this in 15 minutes prior, and the reason we put this in 15 minutes prior is, one, to sterilize, and there's also, since it's copper, it adds a little bit of copper to the beer, which helps with body, surprisingly. So sometimes brewers will put pennies in there. I don't do that because I think pennies are gross. I think about how many hands and pockets and ground, like being on the ground. Maybe if you got like a brand new penny from a bank, maybe, but this is a good way of doing that. So that's what this wort chiller is. So now we're just waiting. So we have 56 minutes to the end of the boil. When we have 15 minutes left, that's when we're going to put our wort chiller in. If I wanted to add a fining to clarify the beer, like a Werflock tablet, that's when I'd add it in then. But for this beer, since we're doing a pumpkin oatmeal stout, I've got pumpkin that I processed 2 days ago. So I'm going to actually add that in at 15 minutes. So it'll be in there for 15 minutes and kind of add the sugars and the proteins from that pumpkin, as well as that squashy flavor into the beer. And then at 5 minutes to the end of the boil, I'm going to add our pumpkin spices, which are right here. So this is 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground allspice, and clover, all in there. So pumpkin pie spices. The only thing that I don't have in terms of pumpkin pie flavors is vanilla. You could always do vanilla extract or drop a little vanilla in, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about that, just because I'm not going to worry about it. So I think this will be pretty good. I'm using oats to add some smooth mouthfeel and some creaminess, which I think is going to just go really well with the pumpkin, because I always think of, like, when I make pumpkin pie, it's like I like it when it's nice and smooth, and maybe a little topped off with a little bit of whipped cream, make it nice and smooth and creamy. But the pumpkin we're using today, for those of you who are new joining us, it's sugar pie pumpkin. So when you do pumpkin ales, most people just do pumpkin spice ales. They don't actually put pumpkin in it. It's just what you imagine pumpkin pie or pumpkin spice to taste like. So they're more like spiced ales than anything. But when you're actually adding pumpkin to the beer, it's a hot topic on the beer forums. Some people are like, it's disgusting. Why would anybody brew a pumpkin ale? Blah, 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 blah. But if you're like me, I freaking love pumpkin. So of course I'm going to do a pumpkin ale. I love pumpkin ice cream, pumpkin rolls, pumpkin bread, pumpkin cookies, pumpkin pie, anything that's pumpkin spice latte. I'm basic that way. I freaking love pumpkin. When I go to Trader Joe's and it's pumpkin season, I one time went and took every box of pumpkin pancake mix off the shelf. It was amazing. I did save up for it, and people were looking at me like, "What the hell's your problem? You're taking it all, so nobody else can have some." I'm like, "You should have thought of the idea sooner." So, anyways, so yeah, so we're making so we're doing the pumpkin. Um, but when you're using pumpkin, they say to use either sugar pie pumpkin or Cinderella pumpkin because they have more flesh than like the pumpkin that you would use for carving a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, right? And they've got a higher sugar content, so the flavor is better, the sugar content is better. There's more flesh, um, and then I guess the pumpkin that you would use for carving has less flesh, has less sugar, tastes like Scheiße, which is German for poop, the not nice way of saying poop. Anyways, so there's that. Anyways, let's see if I can get a good view of this boil real fast because I'm boring. Let's see how the lighting looks on this thing. It should be better. Let's see if I'm gonna move this around again. Let's see if I can find a better. We gotta see if I can get you a better view. It's gonna be hard anyways, just because there's all the steam. Yeah, the steam makes it challenging. I'm sorry if I'm making you vomit. The vomit comet. Let's see. Maybe if I turn the light off. Nope. Anyways, so it's freaking cold where I'm at right now. So um, that's why there's so much steam. One of these days, I'm gonna have like my own space that's climate controlled. Not the plan anyway. Anyways, I hope you all so far have had a good New Year. We've been in it, at least where I'm at, for 12 hours, and it's been great. Oh, oh, thank you. I I know, I know. I'm already ready for summer. It is very cold. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it? The grains are ready if you want them. Okay. I was thinking of using that pot that I used with the PBW yesterday. If you want to fill that pot full of grains, we'll just take a ton and we'll use it for whatever. Okay. You bring it out, I'll bring it in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I won't watch them. Pretty soon, I'm going to come get that pumpkin. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, y'all. Appreciate your patience. For those of you guys who are looking in the background, thanks for lurking. For those of you who are new, thanks for being with us today. And yeah, it's cold out. I can hardly feel my fingers. I guess I could be, warming myself up like a caveman near my fire. I wonder if I block the light, you might be able to see more of the boil. Kind of, sort of. I think I might have misjudged the hops. I think they're a little. I think they're still potent enough. Oh well. What happened? Yeah, yeah. Yep. All right, you guys. So I'm going to show you the pie or the pumpkin. What? Oh yeah, that's a great idea. You're so smart. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to show you a couple things. So for those of you who are lurking, now's a good time to pay attention. Sugar pie pumpkin. This is what it looks like. I had one that was smaller, but this one is just a slightly bigger one. Has a ton of flesh, and it tastes amazing. So I took the stem off, cut it in half. I also washed the outside with soap and water, chopped it in half, scooped all the guts out, and then I rubbed it down with oil. So I just basically took coconut oil, um, put it in my hands, melted it, and then I basically massaged the skin with the coconut oil, and then I sprinkled some Himalayan sea salt on the flesh itself. Put it face down on a cookie sheet with um, parchment paper, and then I cooked it for an hour at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I took the stem off, or took the skin off, and then I mashed it. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's mashed. So this is our pumpkin that we're going to be putting into the beer. I don't know, lighting kind of messes things up. Anyways, there it is. It's all mashed up. It's ready to go. And it's awesome because when I pulled it out of the oven, it had like caramelized sugars on the side of the pumpkin, and it was so freaking delicious. It was so good. So anyways, we're gonna put this stuff in our other bag right here. It's a bigger one, and we're gonna use this to try and reduce the amount of pumpkin trube. And trube is the stuff that kind of settles at the bottom of your boil pot. So that's hot particles, in our case, pumpkin and spice particles. It all kind of settles down at the bottom. And those are things that, one, take up space in your fermenter, and two, it also affects the clarity as well. So there's that. So we're going to stick all the pumpkin in here and then tie it off and throw it in at 15 minutes with the wort chiller. I might let it go a few minutes longer to get back up to boiling temperature because I think this pumpkin is, well, it's refrigerator temperature right now. So it's fairly cold, and then it's freaking cold outside right now. So yeah. So it'll cool the temperature down probably about, like, I'm gonna guess like 15 degrees, and then it'll come right back up. It'll just take a little bit. So the downsides of brewing in cold weather. Anyways, let me give you another view of boil. I'm gonna step off and grab another quick bite to eat, and we're gonna keep this day going. For those who are lurking and have time to answer this question, if you don't have time, you can always put it on the Discord. But what is one thing that you would like to see on the Speakeasy Brewer this year? Is there something in particular you want me to brew or talk about? Um, or if you don't know what you want to see on the Speakeasy Brewer, but you look forward to the most, let me know that too. All right. Yeah, dude. I know. I want to see you on the Speakeasy Brewer as well. Ooh, a hoppy cider. Oh yeah, I remember us talking about that. Well, next time you're in town, you let me know, and we'll brew when that happens. Because I'd love you to be on the Speakeasy Brewer again. Because I miss having a friend brew beer with me. It's way more fun when you have people there. I mean, you guys are all my friends, but I mean, like, in person, like helping lift things and do things like that. You all are amazing, and you guys make it fun for me to actually come out here and brew by myself. because I'm not by myself, technically speaking. Well, technically speaking, I am, but you guys are here with me. I agree, man. Let's do that. And then a hoppy cider. I'm gonna write that down because I remember us talking about that right before you moved to Dallas. Hoppy cider. Okay, we'll have to make that happen. Um, Maybe we'll do a really simple, easy version of that. Um, yeah, that's a good one. I know. I hope that I can see more of y'all because I've seen Rob with two B's. I met him in person in Baltimore. Uh, Met Dr. Hoppenstein in person and brewed with him in Indiana. That was cool. And then Swine Hunter. I mean, I know you because you're from Salt Lake, but I saw you in Dallas. What was it? A month ago? 2 months ago? November when we went to that one brew house. So I would love to come meet up with more people, try some of your favorite beers. Uh, you take me to your favorite brewery, and or let me try your favorite beer, and we'll make something like that happen. Be fun. I want to start traveling. The Speakeasy World Tour coming to a city near you. Um, but yeah. Aha! You like hops. I like that too. Well, I could do a pre hoppy cider because honestly, I think the best time to do it would be fall, September, October. When you get those fresh apples off the tree, and then you do it. Um, but I'll show you guys how to make a really simple, easy cider. Because we can do that. It's super easy. And then for those of you who are like, I don't want to put much time into it, I will teach you how to make the simplest cider you can create, and it's so easy in the amount of time. Honestly, if I were to think about the time that it would take for you to actually create a simple cider, going to the grocery store, getting the cider, and bringing it home and pouring it in a sanitized container, putting yeast in, putting the topper on. I mean, it would probably take an hour and a half, maybe. And that's going to the store, to and from the store, sanitizing your equipment, pouring the juice in the container, pouring the yeast in the container, putting the airlock on, and throwing it in the closet for a week or 2 or 3. That's it. Super easy. I'll show you guys how to do that. It's super easy. I've done it before on Speakeasy Brewer, um, but I'll do it again because, well, it's fun. It's super easy, and it's something a little bit different than beer too. And I am gonna try my hand at a non-alcoholic beer at some point in time. I've got some ideas that I want to play with. Um, so yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. But anyways, um, so yeah, Swine Hunter, you want to be on the Speakeasy Brewer? Let's make that happen. And a hoppy cider. For those of you who are still on watching right now, what is something that you want to see on the Speakeasy Brewer this year? What's something that you're looking forward to? Um, so I'm interested to hear because I've got my own ideas, but you know what? You guys are part of my community, so I want to um, involve you in the decision making process. So let me know. Go back to this real fast so you can see the steam. Let's see if I could do this. Maybe get you down a little lower. That might help. Maybe. Did that help? Yeah, it helped a little bit. All right, sweet. That's a much better boiling view. The alchemy. One thing I'm excited about is hanging out with y'all again more often, just streaming and trying a bunch of different beers. And moving closer to starting a brewery. And summer. I'm excited for summer. I'm already done with winter. Look at that. It's so steamy. I guess Kaylee and Swine Hunter, being in Dallas, you're probably enjoying the winter because, man, last summer was brutal. It was so hot. I actually think I fly through Dallas this week. Oh, yeah. Cocktails would be fun. I'll write that down. Maybe even dip into wine. Cocktails, well, I won't make wine, but maybe we can do some taste testing of some wine. My parents, um, they have grapes from their vineyard, um, in their very own um, bottle. So there's a company that buys their grapes, and meads. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah, Texas summers are brutal. Tornadoes, hail. Oh hell no. And yeah, it's brutal. Uh, so I'm still shoving food in my face. But yeah, meads, that's good too. We need to do, well, I should try my hand at mead and kombucha. Wine is a little bit more involved. I think cider's pretty easy. Mead's really expensive, but we could try it out anyways. Um, but yeah, there's all these things that we could do. Cocktails would be kind of fun. I should have done another cocktail stream of the hot buttered rum. For those of you who have never had hot buttered rum, I make a mean hot buttered rum recipe. If you want to try it, um, I'll give it to you, and you got to do it. So I always use Captain Morgan spice rum for my hot buttered rum, but I'll tell you what, it makes the holiday so enjoyable. Nice and warm. Hey, what's up, big juicy cat? Dude, long time no see. Happy New Year, bro. It's good to see you back. Oh, hey, no worries, man. It's all good. I know it's kind of a last minute thing. It's middle of the week. Unfortunately, January, I will be doing midweek brew days and maybe even February too. It just kind of depends on my work schedule. Um, but I'll try and do a little bit of weekend stuff and weekday stuff back and forth. But I appreciate you lurking, man. It's good to have you back. It's great to see you again. I have really missed you guys all. It's been, um, I think every week I think about brewing a beer and I keep thinking about streaming and I'm like, man, it has been so long since I've done any of these things. So I'm glad I'm back. It's a great way to start 2025. And yeah, really looking forward to just hanging with y'all and brewing some more beer and moving towards the future of the Speakeasy Brewer. Um, the Speakeasy Cookout, foods and beer. Aha, I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know at one point we talked about playing video games like Helldivers and like getting all of the followers together and just go, you know, save Super Earth. But honestly, I haven't played video games in 5 months, and I miss it so much. And part of that's because my kid is sleeping in our office, and if he's sleeping, which is the only time I'd be able to play video games, he's in the room, and I don't want to wake him up, so I don't play video games. We don't really have a place to put the stuff or place to put computers or anything like that, so all the video games have been put on pause. But what I can do is brew beer, so that's what we're doing. We put gaming on the back burner and brewing on the front burner. So yeah, and for those of you who are new to the channel, we brew beer. That's the main focus of our channel. We brew beer. We teach you how to brew beer. We taste test. We review beers, and And one of my goals is to become an actual pro brewer. So we're moving in that direction right as we speak. I'm working on branding and marketing and a business plan right now. I'm looking at financials of how to make that happen. And so for those of you who've been with me from the beginning, you can at least be like, I remember when the Speakeasy Brewer was trying his like third beer ever. Man, all the technical difficulties. I remember one of my first followers. So two of my first followers. I think my one of my first followers who actually helped me out the most is Some Goner, and he actually sent me a message recently, and it was so great to um, have him reach out. He was awesome, but he gave me so many tips and pointers to improve my stream. So he was pivotal for the Speakeasy Brewer. And then in addition to Some Goner, Decipher um, was another one. I have to look up his the spelling on it, but he does uh, like EDM trap bass music. Um, and it's awesome. So go follow him. And Some Goner too. I believe Some Goner does. He basically drinks beer and does art, but I haven't seen him stream in a while. So, but great people, and they were absolutely pivotal to how I got started. And then I started moving forward, and that's when Rob jumped on, and Big Juicy Cat, and Tion, and then Swine Hunter. You showed up and helped me out with a whole bunch of technical stuff. It's just been fun. So it's like this whole process of getting things going and getting the followers and getting to affiliate and working on the, you know, kind of building a community on Twitch. That was a lot of fun. And now I'm putting my stuff on YouTube right now for trying to get into that market. But man, that's a hard one. I don't even know what I'm gonna do for that. So I'm open for ideas. But that's part of my process for getting ready for the brewery is to build my community online, have an online presence, and have a brand online. And my brewery, man, I don't want to give out all my stuff because some of it I have to kind of keep secretive because I am the Speakeasy Brewer after all. But yeah, I know it's gonna be fun. So again, for those of you who are just jumping on, Big Juicy Cat, if you weren't on earlier, um, just the roadmap for 2025 for right now is 2 beers a month. Maybe do a stream of beer tasting, trying a different beer. So it'd be like maybe 3 streams a month. It's not a whole lot, um, but we'll do one technical beer to work on my craft and the skill of and like focusing on very specific styles and really trying to get that down. And then and then have fun experimental ones like this one, like the pumpkin oatmeal stout. Um, or the next beer I'm gonna do is another experimental one. It'll be a holiday ale, and then I'm gonna just try other things like really focus on specific styles. So like Kolsch, really get that down to like the technicality, like right in on profile with flavor and bitterness and color and mouthfeel and aroma and everything. Like I really want to do it. And then I'm going to turn all these beers in, the ones that are technical anyways, into competition and see if I can win some awards. Because I feel like the last few times that I haven't won any awards have been because I turned in beers that were outside of that style or turned it in under the wrong style or something like that. Live and learn, right? But it's a good way to get some good feedback and good advice and from pros, you know. And this is tea, not beer. I want a beer, but we'll have to do that later. But I'm also so this is the first time I'm not wearing my own merchandise. I'm wearing Dr. Hoppenstein's merchandise because I went to go brew with him, and I just wanted to do a big shout out to him because he's been also pivotal for my channel because he's been giving me a lot of tips and pointers for improving my craft as well. And he's a pro brewer out of Indiana, Copacetic Beer Factory, awesome. And got to get a chance to go brew with him, and it was awesome. So cool, so cool. I felt like a kid in a candy shop, or like, yeah, it's like you're you get all excited about a specific career process or something, and then you finally get a chance to do like the big boy, big girl thing that you have been wanting to do and you've been studying for the longest time. You finally get to touch the bigger things, and you're like, oh, that's what it felt like. It was so cool, so exciting. So, and I was gonna do some beer tastings with some of his beers that I have with me, and but yeah, it's gonna have to wait until I'm healthier. but but hey, Dr. Hoppenstein, if you're still on, um, I haven't forgotten about the snow globes, so I just I need to send the snow globes to you, um, which would be awesome. I think you'll enjoy the snow globes. Code word, code word. Um, yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's so we're gonna brew lots of beer, and I might move. We don't know. We're not sure where, and I'm gonna try and start a brewery this year. So yeah, pretty easy year, if you ask me, pretty easy. But those of you who are on right now, who's new? Is there anybody new? Don't be shy. I'll just call you out when you say hi. And also, if you have any questions about brewing in general, ask about anything. I could tell you what I know. There's a few things that I'm still learning. I'm still learning quite a bit, but I'll answer whatever questions I can. And if I don't have an answer for you, I will go find the answer. So the next time you jump on, I will have an answer for you. But if you like beer or you're interested in how beer is brewed, um, or you like the idea of beer tastings and beer reviews, that kind of thing, this is the channel for you. We just come hang out and brew beer, and if it's beer 30 where you are, just pull up or pop open a beer and enjoy a beer with us, and share your beers on the Speakeasy Brewer Discord channel. Um, yeah, whenever you're drinking a beer, just like, this is what I'm drinking, and tell us about it. Why are you drinking it? Is it your favorite? Is it a new one? Uh, Yada yada yada, that kind of thing. And we like to have fun, have good conversation, and all that good stuff. So just checking the timer on things. We got 25 minutes, so in 10 minutes we're gonna add our pumpkin, which I'm really excited about and also really nervous about because it's a new thing. I've never done this before. But like I always tell you guys, be adventurous, stay thirsty, speak easy, be adventurous, experiment, and take good notes. So that's what we're gonna do. I've been taking good notes. I think the only note that I didn't do is um, our mash temperature. I think that's the only thing I didn't add into my notes. So I need to make sure I do that so I can replicate it or fix it. Because here's the thing, when you're brewing beer and you're trying your beer after it's been fermenting and conditioning in bottles and stuff, once you finally drink it, that's the first time you get a chance to say, okay, did it turn out like I wanted it to? Is it good or is it not good? Is it too bitter? Is it too sweet? And then that starts you down a path of trying to solve that problem. So you're you're like sitting there going, no, this is too sweet for the style of beer I wanted. Like I wanted an IPA, but I wanted it clean and crisp and dry, but I wanted it super hoppy and aromatic and floral and flavorful, and it didn't turn out that way. Now it's just too sweet. What do I do to fix that? And then you can, ask, the questions to ask. So take really good notes. How was the temperature control during fermentation? Um, do you feel like you cleaned your container well enough? Do you feel like the mash temperature was the proper temperature? Uh, did you add too many hops or not enough hops? Did you have too many specialty grains that add that sweetness or color or whatever, and not enough hops? Or it's just fine tuning it, right? And once you find a recipe that you try and you're like, wow, it actually turned out really good, but I need to tweak it a little bit. Just start tweaking one thing at a time. Same with like flavors. Add small amounts first, and then amp it up a little bit if it needs more flavor. That's the best way to do it. And yeah, just start with flavor. Anyways, you start with small amounts of flavor and then slowly increase it, rather than doing too much of one flavor and then you're like, ugh. But there's so many variables that you could tweak in brewing to get what you really want, and it's so much fun. It's like solving a puzzle, and then when you finally solve it, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Then you can also be like, okay, well, I created this really good base beer, and now I want to tweak it a little bit. So you have your base beer that you can reproduce again and again and again and again and again, and drink it and be happy and merry and all is good and everybody loves it. And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna do different hops, or I'm gonna do a different yeast, or I'm going to, add some fruit to it or something. Like you can tweak those things, um, which is super fun. I am actually going to do a beer this year. I don't know when, but I would probably imagine maybe spring. I'm gonna try my hand at a beet beer. So use beets and grind them up, boil them in the boil pot, and we'll do like a kind of like a lighter beer, and we're gonna try and shoot for like a beet beer. It's gonna be good. I imagine it's gonna add more sugar. It's gonna add color for sure, but I also think it's gonna add some like earthy tones to it, which could be pretty good. So I might need to balance that out with a little bit of hoppiness. So I'm kind of thinking it should be a lager. So I'm playing around with that right now. It's one of the things. So I want to do a Vienna lager. I want to do that beet beer. I want to do this holiday beer, and then I want to fine tune an IPA for like a flagship beer, and then I want to do a wheat beer. I'm gonna call it Bountiful Harvest. Um, there's a couple other ones. I have them all written down somewhere, but those are some things that you'll be able to watch me try. Oh, and my non-alcoholic beer, of course. So once I get moving down that road, yeah, that's gonna be good. We got things to try, things to do. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be challenging. Okay, I am nervous about this pumpkin. I know I don't have to be nervous, but I am a little nervous because doing something new. Sometimes you put yourself out there for doing different things. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. It's exciting. It's challenging. It's different. But we're almost done with the brew day. At least the streaming of it all. Um, Actually, while we're waiting, I did tell Amy that I was gonna gather some grains for her. Um, let's see here. Do I have? I think I have some water left. Oh, it's hot water too. Sweet. Okay. Clean this out a little bit. Don't want any hops in the grain. I don't think the hops will taste very good in spent grain bread. So we're just trying to come up with ideas to be resourceful. Um, so our way of being resourceful right now is to use our grains. So you could do all sorts of stuff with this grain. Makes really good bread. The other thing too is it's just like when you're gonna spend. I mean, when I make beer, um, the with the grains and the yeast on this scale, anyways, I spend about $50 on a beer. Which, if there's a beer you want me to do, even if I have a beer planned, if you want to fund a beer, then I will brew your beer. I will have that take priority over any planned beer that I have. Um, but I think I've got it on my Twitch page, my PayPal. If you want to donate, you're welcome to, and I'll brew whatever beer you want me to try. But that way, that'll be like funding the ingredients. Is basically what that'll be. So on average, it's like $50 per batch of beer. So again, if you want to basically take over what the Speakeasy Brew does next, that's one option. But there's no pressure to donate. I'm not asking you to donate. I'm just saying if you want me to do a specific beer that maybe I never talked about doing or never thought about doing, and you're like, I want him to brew this beer, you donate $50. I'll get the ingredients. You tell me what the beer is. You tell me the name of it, and we'll make sure you get a shout out as well. So that's one thing you can do if you want. But again, there's no pressure. That's why I don't have advertisements on my channel. I just want us to have fun. And for me, it's not so much about the money. Oh my goodness. It's more about the fun and the community. We're gonna have so much bread. This spent grain bread also makes really great Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, or just regular gifts that tell your neighbors how much you appreciate them. Oh my heavens. I left that open. Ah ha ha. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's see what the time is. What time is it? Oh, okay, I'm gonna put the this in. Sorry, I gotta move kind of quick, real fast. Okay. All right. So in goes our wort chiller. Whoa. Okay. It's gonna cause the temperature to go down a little bit, and then our pumpkin. Oh yeah. Here we go. Just so y'all can see the pumpkin going into the bag. Oh. One giant lump. Oh, here we go. We're just gonna put it in. So those go in at 15 minutes. Look at that. We still have a boil. I really don't know how this is going to turn out. All right. Okay, so that cooled the beer down quite a bit. So I'm going to bring it up to a boil again. Let's see. Temperature went down a few degrees. Nothing too bananas. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hydrate our grains. Not grains. Oh my gosh. Our pumpkin spice powder. So let me show you what we're going to do. I should have shown you guys the mess of things that's going on in my boil pot right now. So we put our wort chiller in, and then we just put our pumpkin in as well. And it's 15 till the end of the boil. 13 now. I don't know, mixing the pumpkin around because I think that's what I need to be doing. But I don't know if that's what I'm going to be doing. This is my first time doing it, so okay. We got that. We got our grains. So here's what we're going to do for rehydrating our or hydrating our ground cinnamon and stuff. So ground cinnamon and so this is our ground cinnamon. It's hydrophobic. So if I were to put this in, it's not really gonna like soak up the fluid. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a little bit of beer, sorry, wort. It's not really beer currently, and we're gonna hydrate it. So I'm gonna stir it up, and we're gonna hydrate it. And once it's all hydrated, then we will stick it in beer. What? Yes, I do. Yes, you can. Sorry.
Sorry.
Give me 1 second.
Oh my goodness. I only need a cup for double batch.
Well, last time we did too little. So you told me that I needed to do more. Sweet. Use it all. Anyways, yeah, right? Let's do it. Let's see. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna use this. This is probably not the best thing to do, but I'm going to mix everything together. You know what? I'm gonna need more fluid, and I'm gonna need a spoon because this is getting thick real fast. Okay. For those of you who are new to Speakeasy Brewer, welcome. Just want to say hi. I'm not trying to ignore you. It's just really busy right now because I just put my pumpkin in, trying to get the beer up to a boil again, and I'm about to add my spices. So I'm hydrating it right now. I gotta go mix it, and then I gotta dump it in here in about 6 minutes. No, 4 minutes. So I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Too many things. This is when having two people is even better. I'll be right back, y'all. You're still with me. Hey, can I get a spoon real fast? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that pot back. I forgot. I'm gonna save the pumpkin, I guess, and in case we wanted to try using it. Yeah, we could. Or yeah. Anyways, y'all. So what's going on is we're trying to be smart with our ingredients, um, because if you're smart enough and innovative enough, you can reuse the things that you have and get more benefit from it. So I've hydrated up my spices, which smell freaking amazing. So those are ready to go. I'll put those in 5 minutes to the end of the boil. But so just so you guys are aware, I just got the. That doesn't even look fun anymore. It looks like a freaking madhouse. Also, you know what? I didn't even check. I don't think anybody's on here. Nobody's on YouTube. It's cool. It's fine. Anyways, so here we are. We have a mad mess of stuff in my boil pot, which is great. It's kind of fun. It's different. Just there's part of me going like, "What in Sam hell am I doing?" But it's going. It's going. If I had like a bigger system, kind of like Dr. Hoppenstein's, I wouldn't probably have any of these bags. I would just be able to like pull some of the wort during the whirlpool phase off of all that trube, without pulling any tube. So that's what's happening. But I have these bags to help with trube collection. So gonna collect the pumpkin, gonna collect the hops, and then those aren't gonna be a thing, but I'll still have some of the there'll be some proteins and other things that are in the beer. Not a big deal. That'll all fall out during fermentation. But the grains, we took those and we're going to use those grains again. Since we used them for beer, we're now going to use them for spent grain bed, spent grain pizza dough, and spent grain dog treats. But we also have this pumpkin, and my wife was not pooped. My wife wasn't super pumped about me using 4 pounds of perfectly good pumpkin in beer only for beer. So I'm gonna, once it's done, I'm gonna pull it out and we're going to maybe use it and maybe come up with a new pumpkin pie called pumpkin stout pie or something like that. Or we might put it in dog biscuits, or we might make pumpkin bread out of it. But I was wondering if the pumpkin would still have some sugar, which it should, and it's also going to have some of the flavor from the beer in the pumpkin, which could be really good because all of a sudden you have like this chocolatiness to it. Uh, I'm really excited. So we're just experimenting. We're just trying things out. That's what we do here at the Speakeasy Brewer. And all right, things and stuff, and more things and stuff. All right, we're almost done. 6 minutes to the end of the boil, and then we're gonna start chilling the beer. We'll move it to the fermenter, and then we're gonna call it a day. So good, good, good. Wow, we're doing really good. We're gonna end right at 1 o'clock. My least favorite part about all of this is the cleaning. The cleaning is so freaking hard. It's so annoying. It's a lot of cleaning. But it's good. It's good because I get beer. It takes time. Okay, so here's the thing. So with a 5-gallon beer, for those of you who might be new, um, you get 48 bottles of beer, give or take. Um, so 48 bottles of beer, and you spend $50 on ingredients, give or take. So basically, for me, all of my beers cost, other than time, cost about like a 75 cents to, I think at the most I had $2.25. That was one of my crazy beers. I think the stout, the Black Widow Stout, my last beer, I think that got to about, I think that was $2 a bottle, maybe $1.75 per bottle. Um, and then I had a beer one time, which was my Irish coffee ale. That one was about $2.50 a bottle because I had to buy whiskey, I had to buy oak chips, I had to get coffee, and then I had to get all the beer ingredients. And I made it super alcoholic, so I had a ton of grain. Um, so yeah, it was expensive. But I mean, in general, like you can be saving money by brewing your own beer. It just takes time. It takes time and energy and effort. And patience. If you have patience and you have all the time, energy, and effort and all that other stuff to like do any of those things, like awesome. Make it happen. More power to you. All right. We should be, oh crap. Okay. We're pouring in. All right. So I just put the spices in. Sorry, I should be showing you guys this stuff, but sometimes you just gotta move. You gotta go real fast, you know. That's I like that idea. Maybe in my future studio, whenever that happens. Great idea. Or I should have like 365 beers. No, that's too many. 99 beers is great. We're like, okay, today on the 99 beers wall, we're gonna choose this beer. And we're slowly make it disappear. So every year we always put 99 beers up there. Yeah, take literally pass it around. Brilliant, brilliant. Smells good. Smells real good. I'm gonna let it go for like a minute longer, just because I was a little late on the spices. I could smell the cinnamon. It smells good, you guys. It's like I'm really excited to see how this thing turns out. I'm really excited about it. I'm also nervous, excited and nervous. All those things. We'll see how it turns out. For those of you guys who are hanging out and lurking, appreciate the lurking. We should make one called the Lurker's Ale. I think I already said that. But the Lurker's Ale. Lurking in the background. Okay. My timer's going to go off here any moment. Let's kind of get things ready. I'm going to let this chill out a little bit. I need to dump this water. Oh, do I have a clean container for cleaning? I don't think so. I think I used all my clean buckets. Son of a biscuit. All right. Actually, let's see here. What do I have that I can use? Got to be smarter than the average bear. I've got a cooler. Check this out. No, it's moldy. Gross. Okay, never mind. So it's moldy because I left water from our last block party and beer and some other stuff in here for like 3 months. I walked out one day. I'm like, we kept putting stuff in our garage, turned into a freaking disaster zone in here, and it's another reason why I wasn't brewing, is because I just didn't feel like coming out here and cleaning it. But yeah, I came out and I went to go lift the cooler and it was so heavy. I was like, what? Opened it up and it was full of beer, and I was like, yeah, win. There's beer in here. But I think there's a little bit of, I didn't let it dry out very well, so a little bit mold in there. Okay, 38 seconds. I see somebody else just jumped on. If you're wondering what we're doing, I'll show you what we're doing. Don't get too overwhelmed. We're brewing beer, and we're right near the end of the beer. You're probably like, what the Sam hell? So normally beer doesn't look like this. I'm just making a very complex beer. I'm making a pumpkin oatmeal stout. So the bag on top, which is this one, that is pumpkin. And the other bag that's in there is our hops. And we're using these bags to reduce the amount of residual trub or particulate in the beer. So when I'm done with the beer, I'm just going to pull it all out and put it in a bowl, and I'm going to let it go for another minute or so. We're going to put it in a bowl, and that way it'll be less, there will be less particulate in there, especially with the yeast that I'm using. And I don't even think I talked about the yeast. Maybe when this is done boiling, I'll talk about it real fast, because there's a little bit there that I failed to share with y'all. But I also have to go hook up a sprinkler. Not a sprinkler, sorry, hose. Hose. All right. We're going to get to that here in a moment. Like I said, one more minute. Almost there. But if you're new to this channel and you're curious about beer, you have questions about how beer is brewed or any of that stuff, this is a great place to ask those questions. And I haven't streamed in like 3 months. This is my first stream in 3 months. And my goal is to do at least 2 to 3 streams a month from here on out. 2 brew days, and like one stream will be just beer tasting, which I was thinking about doing a beer tasting next week as long as I'm healthy, because I'm fighting off a cold right now. Hence the reason why I'm brewing beer only and not drinking beer right now, just for my immune system. All right, that, my friends, is our timer. Close the gas, move everything out, and then I will do a quick little review of hot Scheisse. Hot. Whew. Where are my bare hands? Hot. I'm kind of nervous about this because I think I see some of my cinnamon um, nutmeg mix on the bag, which almost looks like it never made it out, or like never really made it into the boil. Which would be a bummer. What's up? How's it going? Happy New Year. We're making our pumpkin oatmeal stout. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to get all the word out now. 15 minutes with the pumpkin. Yeah. A whole hour. So the pumpkin went in at 15 till the end, and then I added all the pumpkin pie spices, basically near the end. So they were in there for five minutes. But now I think this pumpkin's gonna have like all those flavors, like pumpkin pie spices in the pumpkin plus the beer flavor. So we might have to do like a pumpkin pie stout. Hi, Rusty. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Yeah. Oh, happy birthday, Rusty. Did he get anything special for his meals? Yeah, right. Good. Good.
Yeah, I got a text this morning saying, yeah, we're done for the rest of it. So
Oh.
sign up there.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on, dude.
Rather had the money.
Yeah, I know. I hear that. Yeah. Well, if anything changes and you need us to watch Rusty, we'll definitely do it. So.
I got the only thing on the calendar. January 10th.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I will be. Oh, no, I'll be flying, but Amy will be around. So we'll make it happen. I thought I had a cup out here. It smells pretty good. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've got some ice in the fridge, and yeah, I gotta get it all set up. I kind of got distracted, so yeah, I'm gonna get to that here momentarily. Yeah. So put it into actual fermentation, primary fermentation. Yeah, that happens. That'll happen. Yeah, as soon as I'm done with this. Oh yeah, this was hot water. I was gonna try and save it. I'm not just gonna put it in the garden. Yeah, that's what I'm excited. This one's it's a new one. It's a challenging one. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Pumpkin is one of those ones that's kind of finicky, and you never know what you're gonna get. So yeah. Yeah. Right. That's right. All right. Sorry for all the sound. Yeah. Yeah, those are old. I've got another competition coming up, hopefully soon. So, well, yeah, it is local. That one was the beer nut, and then the other ones are there's different breweries that will put one on. So, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Oh boy. Oh boy. Enjoy. You guys stay warm.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. We'll see you around.
All right.
You too. Okay. All right, just give me 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna bring y'all over towards my little whiteboard, and then we'll talk a little bit while our beer chills just a small bit. Let's see. Will that work? I think it'll work. Close enough, anyways. Okay. Let me show you what's going on here. We're gonna let the beer chill a little bit. When you're sick, you can always make hot toddies. This is true. Okay. So I told you guys a little bit about our yeast, and I never talked about that. So why is yeast so important for beer? And the simple reason is it basically makes beer beer. So that means it's taking the sugar and all that other good stuff, and it's fermenting it. So the yeast eats the sugar and poops out CO2 and alcohol. So that's what makes beer. Now, the crazy thing about this particular yeast, you gotta watch out with this one, is um, I every time I've used it so far in an actual beer, I've had the most aggressive fermentation I've ever had, and both times they blew up. So today I'm prepared for that. So I've got a bucket of Star San that I'm sanitizing for the fermenter and everything that's going to go and touch the beer during fermentation. I'm going to sanitize all that stuff, and that's an absolute must. Sanitation is absolutely key. If you don't have good sanitation, you're not going to get good beer. Um, but so I'm going to sanitize it, and then I've got a tube that I'm going to stick on the bung on the top. So I'll show you. So this is our bung. This is what's going to go to plug in the fermenter, the hole in the fermenter top. And then I'm going to put a tube right around this thing rather than an airlock, which usually goes on the inside. And I'm going to use that tube for the CO2 to escape, because it's got a lot more ability to move out. Because the last couple times the bung's gotten plugged up, partially because of the tube, and then partially because of the yeast uh, remains, I guess is the best way of putting it. So I'm just gonna plan ahead and just do this. But anyways, there's a few things that are important about yeast when you're talking about yeast. Okay, so I always do a yeast starter, and I've done a few videos on this. So if you're interested in that, you can go check out the Speakeasy Brewer on YouTube and find the video on yeast. And if you can't find it, just put it on a message. Either you can whisper it to me on Twitch, or you can go on my Discord, join the server, and then ask on there, and I can redo that for you if you want, if you're interested in that. I always do a yeast starter because that doubles the amount of yeast that I get from a packet, which this particular yeast starts off with 100 billion cells. And when I do a yeast starter, it doubles it basically, and I get 200 billion cells. And that just means faster fermentation, a more efficient fermentation. So you can kind of speed up the process a little bit. Now, some things that are important with yeast, and I'm going to do this quickly because I'm going to chill my beer, is temperature and the control of temperature. And then you have two terms called flocculation and attenuation. All right, anyways. So flocculation, there's high, medium, and low. And flocculation is the ability for the yeast to do its job and then fall out. So on the top of the fermenter, during fermentation, there's this massive, like, Croissant head. It's just like tons of bubbles and gunk and all this nasty looking stuff that's on top. When the fermentation is done, it flocculates out, meaning it falls out. So, and I think it's also how quickly it falls out, meaning like it'll ferment and be done really fast. So that's a high flocculation. Medium flocculation is it kind of goes a little bit and then it falls out a little bit more slowly. And then low, it just doesn't fall out very quickly. So it takes a little bit more time. Um, but also like high flocculation means it's going to clarify the beer. All that stuff's going to fall through the beer uh, really well, and so um, it doesn't really matter honestly if high, medium, or low. It's just a term that helps you to kind of plan out um, like beer clarity and length of fermentation, that sort of thing. And then attenuation, which for this particular one is between 71 and 75%. That's the efficiency of the yeast to consume the sugars and use the sugars to create alcohol um, and CO2 and things like that. And then the temperature, the reason I said save the temperature for last is because that's the most important thing. So when you get a yeast, it'll tell you a temperature range in which that yeast should be used for fermentation. Now it's really important that you stay within that range. Um, if you go too low outside of that range, the yeast can become dormant and it'll stop fermenting. And you might be tricked into thinking, oh, it's done fermenting, and then you put it in a bottle and you create a bottle bomb. Not good. Or it might get too hot, but then if it gets too hot, then you're going to start getting a lot of off flavors and things like that. So whenever there's a temperature range, you want to keep that temperature range within that target as much as possible. So for ours, the darkness, it's between 62 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So as long as I'm within that range, it's room temperature basically, or a little bit colder than room temperature. As long as I'm within that temperature range, I'm good to go. That yeast will be healthy. It'll be happy. I'm not going to get a whole bunch of off flavors. I'm not going to get a stuck fermentation. Like it's just going to be a nice, normal thing. It's absolutely important that you do that. The beers that have failed, I had two beers that failed at once, and their top range was 69 degrees, and their bottom range was 61. So it was a very small range. And I left town, and so did Brubella, and we were gone for 8 days. And our stupid housing climate control thing said, "Oh, there's no movement in the house," and just turned off. And it was in the middle of summer, so the house got up to 85, 90 degrees, and so did my beers. And so it was 10, 15 degrees outside of the range of what that yeast needed to be at, and it ruined the beer. So I drank the beer, it tasted like burnt Band-Aid, rubbing alcohol, banana, like weird flavors that I do not want. And so those are things that you have to watch out for during fermentation. So if anything, like when you're looking for your yeast, one, we have several. There's lots of companies out there. You have Omega Yeast, White Labs Yeast, Y Yeast, Imperial Yeast. Find the ones that work best for you because they all have similar but varying yeast, and there's so many strains out there. But think about the beer you want to brew. Am I brewing an ale? Am I brewing a lager? Am I doing a stout? Am I doing amber or an IPA or all these things because all the different yeasts have different characteristics and profiles, aromas, flavors, all that stuff that they're going to add to your beer. They might make it dry and clean and crisp. They might make it really sweet and floral, spicy. Might amp up the citrus. It might amp up the hoppiness. It might, all these different things, right? They're all bred for very specific purposes and reasons. So do your research, find the yeast that works best for the recipe that you want. Like, is it in line with the flavor that you're going to get? Is it in line with, um, uh, the style, And then pay attention to the temperature. Okay. What's the temperature range? Is it the middle of summer and I live in Oregon and We don't have AC because it never gets hotter than 90 degrees for more than one day. You know, if that's the case, then you need to find a way to maintain a cold temperature. You probably don't want to do a lager in that temperature if you can't keep the temperature low. You might want to do something like a farmhouse ale or something like that, like where you're doing a saison or something that can handle that higher temperature. Um, so just monitor that. Anyways, so that's yeast. If you have any other questions on that, let me know. I can talk more about that later. Anyways, so that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you all for joining. Happy New Year to all of y'all. Thanks so much for jumping on and giving me some support. And we are going to, um, yeah, we're going to move this beer into the fermenter now and see what we get. Well, sorry, I'm going to cool it down first. But you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for all you do and the support and the care. And yeah, Happy New Year to you all. And I will be brewing again, I think, in 2 weeks. So be ready for that. We'll be doing our holiday ale. We're playing catch up. And then we're going to go full ham. Anyways, until next time, y'all, be adventurous, stay thirsty, speak easy. I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. So long. It's a long goodbye. It's an Irish goodbye. No, that's the Irish goodbye.